Chapter 946. Some eternal cultivators didn't even need Ningcheng to urge them. They directly jumped off the bridge and rushed into the blood river. Even those Tao sculpting holy emperors only felt confused for a moment before rushing into the blood river. Several Tao sculpting holy emperors sobered up the moment they jumped into the blood river, and they screamed in pain. Ningcheng didn't move. He wouldn't let these people go just because they begged for mercy. Not to mention that these people robbed Yan Ji and caused her to be seriously injured. Even if all his secrets were exposed during the Tao confirming realm, Ningcheng wouldn't let these people live. If he really spared these people, then maybe he would be besieged and torn to pieces in the next moment. I'm Mu Yuxiong from the Mu clan, you dare to kill me. Mu Yuxiong shouted frantically the moment he sobered up. Ningcheng showed a disdainful sneer, and his indifferent tone fell into Mu Yuxiong's ears. I even dared to kill Man Huishan's son, Man Jiuren. What the hell is your Mu clan? Mu Yuxiong's eyes showed horror, and he shouted, You are. Unfortunately, his voice stopped here. The blood river swept him away, and the only thing that could be seen on his face was endless regret. He would never have thought that he would lose his life in a small place like Furnace Sand. After so many cultivators jumped off the bridge of coping, the first bridge of the 7 bridges spirit technique started to solidify. Ningcheng felt a little strenuous. Even if he succeeded in Tao confirming realm, his Tao charm hadn't stabilized yet. Controlling the bridge of coping to kill so many cultivators at once wasn't an easy task. The Tao Nourishment Holy Emperor kept pacing back and forth on the bridge of coping. His face showed a constant struggle, but he didn't want to jump off the bridge. In the end, he even started to want to rush out of the bridge of coping. Ningcheng snorted coldly, and his sea of consciousness stimulated the 7 Bridges Realm book. The chilly wind on the bridge of coping tumbled like raging waves. A voice came out from under the bridge. No home, no reincarnation, only the blood river to wash away your sins. The Tao Nourishment Holy Emperor struggled even more, but he still didn't want to jump into the blood river. Ningcheng frowned. He knew that there was a big difference in strength between them. If it wasn't for the 7 Bridges God Art, he wouldn't be able to trap this Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor. Thinking of this, Ningcheng no longer had the patience to wait. He also rushed into the bridge of coping and punched down, Get the hell out of here. The fist wind shattered the nearby Yin Qi and charged at the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor like a tsunami. The Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor instantly woke up. He didn't have time to prepare at all and could only hurriedly punch. Boom. Divine essence rumbled together, causing the deathly pale bridge of helplessness to shake continuously. A powerful backlash came. Ningcheng coughed up blood. This Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor was blown away and fell into the blood river. He didn't make any more sounds. Ningcheng raised his hand and put away the first bridge of coping, feeling excited in his heart. Not long ago, he had been a nobody being chased by a Tao modeling cultivator. Now, he had blasted an early-stage Tao birth cultivator into the blood river with one punch. Although this punch had the help of the first bridge of coping, it still showed his formidable strength. One had to know that he had just reached Tao sculpting and hadn't even stabilized his Tao charm cultivation. Generally speaking, it was no less difficult for a Tao sculpting Divine Emperor to kill a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor than an eternal cultivator to deal with a Tao sculpting expert. But today, he did it. He killed a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor with the power of someone who had just reached Tao sculpting. But when Ningcheng looked down and saw that Yan Ji was lying in his bosom, the joy he felt after becoming stronger completely disappeared without a trace. 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond. Ningcheng spat out these words one by one. If he didn't go to 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond to get back at him, he wouldn't be able to prove his Tao of returning to 1. Ningcheng raised his head and let out a long roar. This long roar was to let out the pent-up anger that had accumulated for a long time. It was a long roar for him to prove his Tao of returning to 1. It was a long roar for him to prove his Tao from essence spirit to flesh body. It was also a long roar for Yan Ji's suffering. A spatial fluctuation came from afar, and Ningcheng's spiritual sense swept over. a pillar of fire appeared in Ning Cheng's spiritual sense. Countless cultivators surrounded the pillar of fire. Was this the pill fire and pill aura? As a Tao sculpting pill deity, Ning Cheng naturally understood the pill aura around the pillar of fire. Since his pill fire could produce pill aura, it showed how powerful the understanding of the Tao of alchemy of the alchemy master with this pill fire was. The most important thing was that this pill fire had refined countless pills before it was able to produce pill aura. Ning Cheng couldn't miss out on this pill fire. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng decided to snatch this pill fire. Yan Ji hadn't fallen. Ning Cheng believed that with his attainments in the Tao of alchemy, he wouldn't have any problem saving Yan Ji. The pill fire he had just seen had pill aura. If he could obtain it, his attainments in the Tao of alchemy would definitely rise to a higher level. The higher his attainments in the Tao of alchemy, the more help it would provide to Yan Ji. Ning Cheng didn't go over immediately. Instead, he took off the thin jade piece around Yan Ji's neck. This jade piece had a crack on it. Ning Cheng understood at a glance that this jade piece was an ornament used to conceal Yan Ji's heavenly fragrance body. Although he couldn't refine this kind of ornament to conceal Yan Ji's heavenly fragrance body, with his attainments in artifact crafting and Tao of arrays, he could repair it according to the refined ornament. In just the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, Ning Cheng repaired the jade piece. He put the jade piece back on Yan Ji's neck, carried Yan Ji on his back, and rushed towards the black and white mountain range where he had found the pill fire. Previously, when Mu Yuxiong discovered Yan Ji's heavenly fragrance body, the cultivators who followed Mu Yuxiong to leave were still the minority. Most of the cultivators stayed in front of the eruption of the pill fire, waiting for the pill fire to subside, so that they could snatch the things. Ning Cheng coming here would not attract anyone's attention. For the cultivators standing next to the pill fire, it was just one more person. Was there a super pill furnace here? As soon as Ning Cheng arrived, he found that something was wrong. He had refined countless pills, as such he could naturally feel the aura of the pill furnace. Not only could he feel the aura of the pill furnace, but he could also feel the connection between the pill fire and the pill furnace. Ning Cheng had always used the traceless furnace, which could be regarded as a top-grade pill furnace. After Ning Cheng started to refine spirit pills, he felt that the traceless furnace was not as strong as he wanted it to be. For Ning Cheng, he could also refine a pill furnace by himself. However, for something like a pill furnace, one couldn't refine a top-grade pill furnace just by having a strong artifact crafting level. Moreover, Ning Cheng's artifact crafting level could only be regarded as ordinary in the Grand Essence realm. The most important characteristic of a pill furnace was its pill charm. Pill charm wasn't something that could be produced by artifact crafting. Instead, it was formed after a long period of refining pills. The more pills one refined, the stronger the pill charm. Bursts of pill fragrance spread out from the pillar of fire. Many cultivators, after sensing the pill fragrance and pill charm, sat cross-legged and began to comprehend it. Even more cultivators stared greedily at the middle of the pillar of fire. Once the flame subsided, they would immediately rush in and snatch the things inside. My request is very simple. As long as I can get a bottle of spirit pills, I will be satisfied. As for Tao pills, if only there was one. This pill furnace is definitely a space-type weapon. Maybe there are even Tao fruits inside. Otherwise, how could there be such a pill fragrance? Now that the pill furnace and the pill fire appeared, it shows that the legend of the pill sage in the Black and White Mountain Range is true. The surrounding discussions made Ning Cheng realize that this was the Black and White Mountain Range. The Black and White Mountain Range was formed after a pill sage refined pills. This pill furnace and pill fire were left behind by the pill saint who had concocted the pill. When it came to pill sage, Ning Cheng immediately thought of pill sage Min Kong. He had never met pill sage Min Kong, nor had he obtained pill sage Min Kong's inheritance. Pill sage Min Kong's Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pills Deduction Jade Strip had benefited him a lot. Otherwise, with his own ability, even if he could find the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pills pill recipe, it wouldn't have taken him a year or two. One could say that the reason he could refine the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill so quickly was because he stood on Pill Sage Min Kong's shoulder. Now that a pill sage had appeared here, along with a complete alchemy Dao inheritance like a pill furnace and pill fire, Ningqing secretly made up his mind to snatch this pill furnace. His spiritual consciousness swept around and found 3 Dao nourishment holy emperors. The rest were below Dao nourishment realm, and there were even many eternal cultivators here. The pill furnace's flame still burned, but it showed a clear trend of decline. Some of the more anxious cultivators even secretly took out their defensive magic treasures, preparing to rush down when the time came. Half an hour later, the towering pillar of fire finally fell. Although the temperature was still terrifying, it was nothing to the Dao sculpting holy emperors here. Almost as soon as the pillar of fire fell, several figures rushed down. With a few people taking the lead, the rest of the Dao sculpting and above cultivators also rushed down. Ningqing followed the many Dao sculpting powerhouses and rushed down into the flame. He only brought out a defensive shield and didn't take out any other defensive treasures. With Ningcheng's cultivation, he naturally didn't fear the current temperature. What's more, he was a body-forging cultivator with a full-circle starry sky body. He brought out his shield for 2 reasons. 1, he didn't want to stand out. After all, most of the cultivators here had brought out their defensive treasures. If he ignored the remnant fire, it would immediately attract everyone's attention. One had to know that he wanted to snatch the pill furnace and pill fire here. Secondly, the main purpose of his defensive shield was to protect Yan Ji, and not to let Yan Ji suffer even the slightest bit of harm. As the many powerhouses rushed down, the remnant fire also fell down. Ningqing followed behind the many cultivators and landed on the ground in just a minute. To be precise, he landed on the foot of a huge pill furnace. Ningcheng's gaze swept out and saw that the pill furnace was upside down on the ground. To Ningcheng's surprise, this pill furnace also had 5 feet, just like his traceless furnace. At this moment, a cultivator stood on each foot, and a faint pill fire still lingered around it. Some shrewd powerhouses had already rushed down from the foot of the furnace and started to move down. If one wanted to obtain this pill furnace, or the things inside the pill furnace, they would have to go through the mouth of the furnace. Chapter 947. Ningqing also knew that if he wanted to take away this pill furnace, he must first refine the pill furnace. To refine the pill furnace, he naturally couldn't do it from the bottom of the pill furnace. He had to enter the pill furnace like the other cultivators. However, this kind of thing was very dangerous. Once someone refined the pill furnace first, the rest of the people inside the pill furnace would become sacrificial offerings for the person who refined the pill furnace first. After hesitating for a moment, Ningqing decided to enter the pill furnace to snatch it. This kind of good pill furnace, if he missed it, he feared that it would be difficult to encounter it again in the future. The moment Ningqing landed on the foot of the cauldron, his spiritual consciousness saw 2 words at the bottom of the pill furnace: no furnace. Was this the name of the pill furnace? Ningqing even felt a little stunned. This pill furnace looked amazing and had an extraordinary origin. Yet, it had such an unsophisticated name, no furnace. If one inadvertently heard it, they would think that it was a coal furnace. Whether it was no furnace or not, Ningqing didn't hesitate. If he felt that the name of the pill furnace didn't sound good, he could just change it in the future. The most important thing now was to snatch this pill furnace. After a while, Ningqing arrived at the entrance of the pill furnace. This pill furnace seemed to be suspended in the ground, and one could enter from all sides. The temperature inside was terrifying. Several cultivators who came here started to hesitate. After all, once they entered, they would most likely die inside the pill furnace. Ningqing didn't hesitate and directly rushed into the pill furnace through the inverted mouth. Since he had already made a decision, he had to do it as soon as possible. Otherwise, he might as well leave this place. As soon as he entered the pill furnace, a rich pill fragrance and terrifying temperature mixed together. Ningqing didn't hesitate to bring out the everlasting blue thunder fort to protect Yan Ji. He wasn't afraid of the terrifying temperature here. What he worried about was Yan Ji. After bringing out the everlasting blue thunder fort, Ning Qing didn't immediately rush up. This pill furnace really was a space-type weapon. The space inside was very large, as if the sky had been turned upside down. As Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out, he found many restrictions and array formation shielding within it. In just a dozen breaths, Ning Cheng felt shocked. He could feel the location of the pill charm. It was diagonally opposite him. In other words, he had to jump from one side of the pill furnace to the other to reach it. Ning Cheng felt a burst of excitement in his heart. Inside this pill furnace, he, as a Tao sculpting pill deity, had a much stronger feeling towards pill charms compared to ordinary people. Perhaps others would need to search slowly to find the location of the eruption of the Dan charm, but he could sense it easily. The place where the pill charm erupted was most likely the place where the pill furnace was being refined. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng immediately rushed over. Naturally, Ning Cheng was not the only cultivator to enter the pill furnace. While flying through the pill furnace, Ning Cheng would occasionally brush past some other cultivators. Some of the cultivators also discovered that the everlasting Blue Thunder City protecting Ning Cheng was quite powerful. However, this place was inside the pill furnace, and Ning Cheng's strength also seemed to be quite formidable. As such, no one dared to covet it. Most of the cultivators who came in had a preconceived notion that the fastest way to refine a pill furnace was to refine it at the bottom of the pill furnace. These cultivators all rushed to the bottom of the pill furnace with all their might. Some of the cultivators who reached the bottom of the pill furnace first had already taken out their magic treasures to attack. Some scattered medicinal pills floated around the pill furnace. These medicinal pills were protected by restrictions within the space inside the pill furnace and did not suffer from the burning of the pill fire. More cultivators, who knew that snatching the pill furnace and the pill fire had a slim chance of success, started to snatch the medicinal pills inside the furnace. Encountering top-grade spirit pills, these cultivators did not hesitate to take out their weapons and start fighting. One couldn't blame these people for fighting each other. It was because there were too few top-grade medicinal pills. Moreover, from time to time, a few top-grade spirit pills would emerge from the body of the pill furnace. It would be strange if no one tried to snatch them. However, Ning Cheng remained indifferent. His goal was not the medicinal pills, but the pill fire and the pill furnace. He would never waste his time on snatching these medicinal pills, even if they were precious. After more than 10 breaths, Ning Cheng appeared at one of the corners of the pill furnace. There was an extremely tight restriction around this place. As soon as Ning Cheng arrived, he felt that someone had tampered with this restriction. Did someone go in? Ning Cheng instantly came to a conclusion. From the looks of it, there was also an alchemy powerhouse here. The other party, like him, had also felt the pill charm of the Tao of alchemy. Moreover, this person also had a deep understanding of array formations. Unexpectedly, he managed to break through the restriction in such a short time. Ning Cheng did not hesitate to bring out a dozen array flags. These array flags fell around the restriction, and the restriction on the corner of the pill furnace gave out a ka-ka sound. In just a few breaths, a gap appeared, and Ning Cheng rushed into the gap without hesitation. At the same time, he put away the array flags. A refreshing aura washed over him, and Ning Cheng could not help but take in a deep breath. But before he could recover, a powerful murderous intent rumbled over from the side. The everlasting blue thunder fort above Ning Cheng's head instantly solidified, and lightning crackled around the blue thunder fort. Boom boom boom. Dozens of white blade lights slammed into the everlasting blue thunder fort, triggering one blue lightning bolt after another on the surface of the everlasting blue thunder fort. Ning Cheng did not wait for the cultivator who attacked him to attack again. He took a step to the side and punched out at the same time. A strange fluctuation spread out in front of Ning Cheng's fist, and the surrounding laws seemed to give out a slight ka-ka sound under this punch. The next moment, the surrounding laws turned chaotic. Die. A new law condensed in front of Ning Cheng's fist, and a raging spirit essence gathered in the blink of an eye. Under this punch, time came to a standstill, and space disappeared. The cultivator who attacked Ning Cheng felt horrified. If the surrounding laws hadn't changed, then although Ning Cheng's punch combined with the laws of time and the laws of space was powerful, he could still avoid it. At best, he would only suffer some injuries. But now, he found that his spirit technique was still lacking a little bit. With just a little bit more, he could have completed his spirit technique. But under these chaotic laws, he couldn't form it. Boom! Boom! A punch mixed with terrifying spirit essence slammed into the cultivator who attacked Ning Cheng, and a bloody mist burst out. After the cultivator's sneak attacked Ning Cheng killed him with a single punch. Even his essence spirit didn't have time to escape. Ning Cheng took a deep breath, and looked at his own fist. A late-stage Dao sculpting cultivator, who tried to sneak attack him, died with a single punch. The Dao he reached was completely different from ordinary Daos. This kind of power wasn't something ordinary Dao sculpting cultivators could compare to. Ning Cheng finally had a chance to look around. It wasn't a big space. There were a few jade strips in the corner of the space, along with 3 pill furnaces in the corner. As an artifact crafting grandmaster, Ning Cheng could see the difference between the 3 pill furnaces at a glance. The 3 pill furnaces were arranged from weak to strong, and each pill furnace exuded bursts of pill charm. Ning Cheng walked to the weakest pill furnace. When his hand touched the pill furnace, 5 golden words appeared on the furnace's body: Primal Chaos First Furnace. Ning Cheng couldn't help but laugh. Although this pill furnace was stronger than his traceless furnace, it was a joke to call it the Primal Chaos First Furnace. Ning Cheng believed that he couldn't make a mistake. This was just a relatively ordinary pill furnace, not even comparable to the 2 pill furnaces next to it. Shaking his head, Ning Cheng put this Primal Chaos First Furnace into his ring. He then walked to the 2nd pill furnace. The 2nd pill furnace looked better than the 1st pill furnace. As soon as Ning Cheng walked to the side of this pill furnace, several golden words appeared on the furnace's body: Under the Heavens 2nd Furnace. At this time, Ning Cheng didn't even have the mood to check it. He directly threw the Under the Heavens 2nd Furnace into his ring and walked to the 3rd pill furnace. Another 5 golden words appeared on the furnace's body: Only 3rd Furnace. Ning Cheng felt a little speechless. The best of these 3 pill furnaces was named Only 3rd Furnace, while the worst one was named Primal Chaos First Furnace. Coupled with the pill furnace outside named No Furnace, Ning Cheng guessed that the owner of these pill furnaces was also a strange fellow. Ning Cheng threw all 3 pill furnaces into his ring. Suddenly, the positions of the 3 pill furnaces emitted bursts of fluctuations, and another restriction suddenly appeared in front of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng stared at this sudden restriction in a daze, and his entire body froze. This kind of restriction that suddenly appeared after taking something away wasn't anything special. Ning Cheng could also arrange something like this. What shocked him the most was the thing inside this restriction. It was a fist-sized cyan green liquid suspended in the air. This cyan green liquid suspended above a mini pill furnace, which looked very unique. Is this a pill marrow? After a while, Ning Cheng muttered to himself. He didn't care about the mini pill furnace, but stared at the cyan green liquid. A pill marrow was not a heaven or earth treasure, but its value was definitely not inferior to any heaven or earth treasure. A pill marrow would only appear in a pill furnace. Moreover, it would only appear in the top pill furnace of a top pill master. As a pill master refined pills for a long time, the essence of the spiritual grasses would constantly condense in the pill furnace. With the passage of time, a pill marrow would form in the pill furnace. Under normal circumstances, a pill marrow would only be the size of a longan. A good pill marrow would be the size of an egg. Once this fist-sized pill marrow was taken out, it would definitely make everyone go crazy. Ning Cheng was overjoyed in his heart. Even if he couldn't make a pill to wake Yan Ji up, with this pill marrow, Yan Ji would definitely wake up. Understanding that this was a pill marrow, Ning Cheng immediately rushed up, tore open the restriction covering the pill marrow, and put this pill marrow into the jade box. Although this pill marrow was good, but before he could determine the main function of this pill marrow, Ning Cheng did not dare to give this pill marrow to Yan Ji. If this pill master refined poison pills for a long time, then this pill marrow would not be a life-saving thing, but rather a life-threatening thing. After taking away the pill marrow, Ning Ching finally noticed the mini pill furnace. The pill furnace also had 2 words engraved on it, "No furnace." Ning Ching came to understand, this small mini pill furnace was the real hub for refining the large pill furnace outside. Thinking that many cultivators would rush in to snatch this no furnace, Ning Ching did not hesitate, and directly spat out a mouthful of blood essence onto the mini pill furnace, while his majestic spiritual consciousness immediately poured into it. Chapter 948. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness was powerful, and the speed at which he refined it with his essence blood was even faster. With the pill furnace imprints being refined by him, in just the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, the pill furnace's first layer restriction was completely under Ning Cheng's control. Then a message appeared in Ning Cheng's consciousness. The cauldron stabilizes the heavens and the earth, the pills and weapons are formless, but their names are gone. Ning Cheng stared at the mini pill furnace in his hand in amazement. He was not only a Tao sculpting pill deity but also an artifact crafting powerhouse who could refine middle-grade spirit artifacts. Ning Cheng already knew that this pill furnace was called No Furnace. However, he had been practicing alchemy and refining for so long, and he had never heard of a furnace that could be used for alchemy and refining. Under normal circumstances, the furnace used for alchemy and the furnace used for smithing were 2 completely different things. Not only were the furnace's array formations different, but the methods used to forge the furnaces were also very different. Because of this, Ning Cheng was shocked. However, he had never used a furnace when he was refining tools. He had completely relied on his divine sense to control them. Ordinary cultivators would not have a strong spiritual consciousness, and might not be able to achieve such a feat. However, for Ning Cheng, it was not difficult at all. The reason why he could sell the spirit artifacts he crafted in the Grand Essence ruins was not only because of the low price, but also because he didn't need to use an artifact crafting furnace. A magic treasure that was not refined using a furnace would have a slightly stronger combat power than a magic treasure refined using a furnace. Once it became one's own magic treasure, there would be a kind of freedom between heaven and earth. This was something that could not be refined with a furnace. Of course, there were many cultivators in the world who did not need to use an artifact furnace to refine a magical weapon, but there were not many who could control it so perfectly like Ning Cheng. Although there was no furnace for crafting artifacts, but Ning Cheng did not feel any traces of crafting artifacts in the furnace, it was obvious that this furnace had not truly been used for crafting artifacts. He must have been using it as a pill furnace. Ning Cheng did not delve into it. Just as he raised his hand to put away the pill furnace, a snow-white flame suddenly appeared in the range of Ning Cheng's spiritual sense. This flame was hidden in another corner of the furnace, because Ning Cheng did not refine the entire furnace, as such he did not find it. Sensing the familiar aura, Ning Cheng instantly understood that this was the pill fire that had erupted a few moments ago. This flame had lost its master's control, so it wanted to use its shocking pillar of fire to scare away those who coveted it. However, it had the opposite effect and attracted even more people to come and fight for it. Now that the white flame's remaining energy was almost exhausted, it could only hide in a corner of the furnace and gasp for breath. Ning Cheng felt happy in his heart. This kind of pill flame with pill charm was something that he lacked the most. Without any hesitation, he extended his spiritual will and landed it on the white flame. Ning Cheng had enough experience in refining flames because he had the celestial river. The celestial river flame had been with him since he was a seed. Therefore, Ning Cheng was very familiar with flame control. This white flame was already somewhat weak, as such Ning Cheng only spent a few minutes to completely bind it. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, Ning Cheng directly imprisoned the flame above the pill furnace. He already knew the name of this white flame. It wasn't snow like he had imagined, but nameless. The pill sage who left behind the nameless flame in the cauldron was definitely an amazing person. Ning Cheng raised his hand, and the pill furnace covering his head directly flew out of the ground. In just a twinkling of an eye, it turned into a shadow and disappeared into Ning Cheng's palm. With the pill furnace and the pill fire taken away by Ning Cheng, many of the cultivators rushed out of the pit and surrounded Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng shook his head, but his heart still softened a little. If replaced by an ordinary cultivator, he would have killed all the cultivators in the pill furnace. However, Ning Cheng didn't care. If he could silence them, it wasn't impossible to kill them. In fact, even if he killed the cultivators in the pill furnace, there would still be many cultivators outside the pill furnace. He definitely couldn't silence them, and he still had Yan Ji on his back. Although Ning Cheng had just succeeded in Dao sculpting, the Dao charm around him had solidified, which was a sign of a powerhouse. Plus, Ning Cheng had shown mercy before and didn't kill all the cultivators in the pill furnace. The cultivators who came out of the pill furnace surrounded Ning Cheng's path, but no one took the lead. Ning Cheng calmly took out another medicinal pill and put it into Yan Ji's mouth. He then glanced at the cultivators around him and said with a calm tone, "If you don't step aside, I will treat it as if you want to attack me." After hearing Ning Cheng's words, several Dao sculpting cultivators and some cultivators below the Dao sculpting realm hesitated a little before slowly retreating. A moment later, another Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor stepped aside. However, there were still 7 powerhouses blocking Ning Cheng's path. Among these 7, there were 2 Dao Nourishment Divine Emperors. "Leave behind your pill furnace and pill fire, and I can let you live." A sturdy Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor glanced at Yan Ji behind Ning Cheng and said indifferently. Ning Cheng didn't answer him. He just stared coldly at the other 5 Dao sculpting Divine Emperors and said, "Are you guys going to die by surrounding me, or are you going to lick the soles of other people's feet?" The 5 Dao sculpting cultivators showed anger when they heard Ning Cheng's sarcasm. To become a Dao sculpting powerhouse, they naturally weren't idiots. They understood Ning Cheng's words. Even if they helped 2 Dao Nourishment Divine Emperors kill him, they wouldn't get anything. They would also offend 2 Dao Nourishment Divine Emperors because they dared to snatch treasures from Dao Nourishment Divine Emperors. If these 2 Dao Nourishment Divine Emperors couldn't kill him, what use was there in stopping him? It was impossible that 2 Dao Nourishment Divine Emperors couldn't kill Ning Cheng. The 5 Dao sculpting Divine Emperors at least understood one thing. Apart from offending people by surrounding Ning Cheng, they wouldn't get any benefits. As the first Dao sculpting Divine Emperor retreated, the other 4 hesitated and retreated as well. Everyone wanted good things. If they couldn't get it for sure and still tried to snatch it, then they weren't robbing treasures, they were idiots. You have a mouth that knows how to talk. Pity, I still won't let you go like this. Let me give you a piece of advice, give up the idea of running away as soon as possible. After the 5 Dao sculpting cultivators retreated, the other pale-faced Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor stepped forward and sealed Ning Cheng's path. Ning Cheng raised his hand and a middle-grade god artifact long spear appeared above his head. He looked coldly at the 2 Dao Nourishment Divine Emperors and said, "I never planned to leave. I won't feel good if I don't kill those who stole my things. Die." The Dao Nourishment Initial Stage Divine Emperor raised his hand and blasted out a long black bridge. As soon as the bridge appeared, it crossed through space and locked onto Ning Cheng. The other pale-faced Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor stood on the side and didn't even bother to attack. He only needed to seal Ning Cheng's path so that Ning Cheng couldn't escape. 2 Dao Nourishment Divine Emperors teamed up against a puny Dao sculpting primary stage. The Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor's aura pressed down. The violent aura not only locked the space around Ning Cheng but also turned the soil under Ning Cheng's feet into nothingness. Moments later, apart from where Ning Cheng was standing, the surroundings were filled with ravines. This Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor wanted to use his aura to suppress Ning Cheng so that he couldn't move and then kill him. A Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor indeed had the ability to do so. Seeing the black bridge descend, Ning Cheng snorted. This guy dared to play with bridges in front of him. If he wasn't worried about his 7th bridge being too weak, his first bridge of helplessness could kill these 2 Dao Nourishment Divine Emperors. Facing this guy playing with bridges, Ning Cheng would definitely bring out the first bridge of coping and use it to suppress his opponent. But so what if he didn't use the first bridge of helplessness? The divine artifact spear in Ning Cheng's hand moved slightly. Tao runes spread out without a trace and followed the strange trajectory of the divine artifact spear. God art-breaking laws, law-shattering, the Black Bridge, which was getting more and more condensed and majestic, immediately loosened after Ning Cheng's spear slashed out. Not only did the Black Bridge loosen, but the aura that was pressing down on Ning Cheng also weakened. The majestic killing intent seemed to have been washed away by water and became weak. The sturdy Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor felt the surrounding laws loosen. The space that was originally under his control became illusory, as if it was going to break out of his control in the next moment. The Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor was shocked. His spirit essence and spiritual sense pressed down even more. Ning Cheng didn't wait for the other party to regain control of the surrounding space. His spear turned into waves of spear patterns and swept out. Sunset's twilight. Before Ning Cheng's Tao sculpting spirit art, his spirit art only had form and no spirit. However, after Ning Cheng's Tao sculpting spirit art, his Sunset's twilight was no longer a superficial law fusion spirit art. Instead, it had become a true law intense spirit art. Ning Cheng's law-breaking technique couldn't completely shatter the laws here, but it could make the laws here messy. Under the messy laws, the power of this early-stage Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor's spirit art instantly dropped. Ning Cheng's spear swept out new Tao runes, and a huge blood-like setting sun appeared in front of the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor. Under the setting sun, there was endless nostalgia. The Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor was already affected by Ning Cheng's law-breaking spirit art. Now, facing the setting sun, he even had the thought of stepping into it. No, this isn't a real scene. This is an illusion. The Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor instantly understood. He roared, and the Black Bridge turned into countless ladder blades. The terrifying stair edge condensed into one wave after another that blasted towards Ning Cheng. These waves had not yet reached Ning Cheng's body, but the stair edge's tearing killing intent had already cut open one bloody wound after another on Ning Cheng's body. He was sure that once these ladder blades hit Ning Cheng, even if Ning Cheng was a body-refining expert with a starry sky body, he would still turn into mincemeat. How could Ning Cheng let the other party's ladder blades lock onto him? And then kill him? Before these ladder blades could gather on his body, his spear had already cut through space and arrived between the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor's eyebrows. This was spatial crossing. The Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor had mastered a spatial spirit art, so he naturally understood Ning Cheng's spatial crossing. However, under the law-breaking technique, his spatial spirit art couldn't even slow down Ning Cheng's spatial spirit art. The Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor snorted coldly. The countless ladder blades in his hand no longer attacked Ning Cheng. Instead, they instantly gathered again. Just as they were about to turn into a huge blade shield, he felt everything around him suddenly stop. His ladder edge froze. Space froze. Time stopped as well. No, he saw that Ning Cheng's spear was still moving. Just as he thought about it, the spear had already landed between his eyebrows. The setting sun was infinitely beautiful, but it was nearing dusk. This was the last beautiful scene in his eyes. The setting sun became even more dazzling, and his heart suddenly surged with an infinite desire to survive. After Ning Cheng's spear pierced through the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor's eyebrows, he didn't move even though blood dripped down. He once again gained a new understanding. This was the true law of time spirit art. Sunset's twilight lasted for a long time, and his law of time could only slow down time for a moment. All he had to do was to send his spear into the other party's eyebrows during that moment. Chapter 949. A Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor was hanging on Ning Cheng's spear. Blood was still dripping from the tip of the spear. Ning Cheng's eyes were closed as if he was thinking about something. The surroundings were completely silent. None of the surrounding cultivators spoke a word. Especially the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor, who backed out of the fight, looked at Ning Cheng in disbelief. The reason he backed out was because he sensed Ning Cheng's power. He guessed that Ning Cheng was definitely no match for these two Tao Nourishment Divine Emperors. However, it was impossible for these two Tao Nourishment Divine Emperors to stop Ning Cheng. Since they couldn't stop Ning Cheng, why bother? It wasn't his style to offend a young Tao molding powerhouse for no reason. Plus, no one knew that he had already gained something from the pill furnace. Even he didn't expect that Ning Cheng was not only strong, but also ridiculously strong. He killed a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor in one move. Ning Cheng didn't fight this Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor for long. The Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor used the Black Bridge to lock Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng used law-breaking technique and then used Sunset's Dusk. It was just a series of changes. When the white-faced Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor saw Ning Cheng use law-breaking technique, he felt that something was wrong. When Ning Cheng used Sunset's Dusk, time stopped. He knew that this Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor was finished. He didn't help, or even if he helped, he wouldn't be able to stop the final battle. Just when the white-faced Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor was hesitating whether he should attack Ning Cheng or not, Ning Cheng opened his eyes. The spear in his hand shook slightly and the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor fell to the ground. The next moment, the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor's Black Bridge magic treasure and storage ring disappeared from Ning Cheng's hand. Ning Cheng didn't put away his spear. He pointed it towards the ground and took a step towards the white-faced Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor. He said calmly, "It's your turn. I'll allow you to attack first." After reaching Tao molding, Ning Cheng used 7 bridges divine art to kill dozens of people. Among them was a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor. Now that Ning Cheng killed another Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor, it allowed his return to one Tao to fuse even more. At this moment, he was very clear that the more battles he fought, the deeper his Tao fusion would be, and the stronger his strength would be. The pale-faced Tao birth cultivator snorted coldly and said faintly, "I disdain to fight with you." Then, the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor's body flickered and became faint. Perhaps in half a second, he would disappear from the spot. The long spear in Ning Cheng's hand drew out another spear mark, and the law-breaking spirit technique created waves of ripples that destroyed the laws of the surrounding space. The white-faced Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor's body condensed and his face changed. Clearly, he didn't succeed in his escape technique. Ning Cheng's figure flashed and the twin wings of the heavenly clouds appeared in front of the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor. "What? Do you think you can leave just like that without me leaving anything behind?" The Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor's face became even worse. He opened his hand and a white figure appeared before him. This was a blade will magic treasure. Even before the blade will was unleashed, the sharp killing intent of the ghastly white shadow had already caused the surrounding space to rustle. "What do you want?" The white-faced Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor's tone was cold as he stared at Ning Cheng fiercely. He was Tao Nourishment middle stage, much stronger than the Tao Nourishment early stage Ning Cheng had just killed. He still didn't dare to attack Ning Cheng. He had experienced Ning Cheng's law-breaking spirit technique again. This god art seemed to be able to weaken the surrounding laws of heaven and earth. His god art and some laws all relied on the laws of heaven and earth around him. Once the laws of heaven and earth weakened or became chaotic, his god art would definitely weaken. He didn't understand how a mere Tao molding divine emperor like Ning Cheng could affect the laws of heaven and earth. However, he didn't dare to try. He didn't want to be killed by a Tao molding divine emperor for no reason. The spear in Ning Cheng's hand shook slightly and a few spear marks automatically spread out. Seeing these spear marks, the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor immediately activated his domain and blocked Ning Cheng's spear marks. He became even more cautious as he was afraid that Ning Cheng would suddenly attack. Ning Cheng smiled faintly. "What do I want? Didn't you want to stop me just now? Didn't you want me to leave the pill furnace and fire behind?" The pale-faced cultivator's expression froze. He really didn't want to fight with Ning Cheng, but he didn't know how to deal with Ning Cheng. "The god art I used just now cost me 10 million god crystals. Take out the god crystals, or I won't let this go." As Ning Cheng spoke, the spear marks spread out again. Ning Cheng indeed lacked god crystals, but he had 2 other reasons for wanting the 10 million god crystals. He felt that the more he fought, the stronger he became. Also, so many people saw him take away the pill furnace and fire. If he didn't show some strength, there would definitely be people who wouldn't give up. The pale-faced cultivator stared at Ning Cheng with hatred. After hesitating for a while, he took out a ring and threw it to Ning Cheng. Then, he turned into a flash of light and disappeared without a trace. Ning Cheng grabbed the ring, scanned it with his spiritual consciousness, and threw the ring into the true spirit world. At the Tao molding level, he already had the ability to protect himself. Plus, he had just killed a Tao nourishment cultivator and made another Tao nourishment cultivator give in and leave. No one should be blind anymore. Senior, please wait a moment. A tall young man called out to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng recognized the young man as soon as he saw him. He nodded and smiled. It turns out to be Brother Shi. It's been a long time. This man's name was Qi Zimin, and Ning Cheng knew him. Ning Cheng had met him in the Boundary Essence Sea when he first arrived in the Grand Essence Realm. It was because of his none to depend on wine. Qi Zimin was very enthusiastic. When Ning Cheng first arrived in the Grand Essence Realm, he had told him many things. Later, Qi Zimin invited him to the Grand Essence Domain's Shi clan as a guest. But Ning Cheng didn't go. Instead, he went to the Grand Essence Ruins with Nalan Rushue. It's really Brother Ning. Senior Ning. Qi Zimin called out in surprise. Apparently, he had already recognized Ning Cheng, but he couldn't believe it. Compared to when he first arrived in the Boundary Essence Sea, Ning Cheng now had a unique temperament. Qi Zimin came from a big clan, so he naturally knew that this was the Tao charm aura of a Tao confirming expert. When he first met Ning Cheng, his cultivation was higher than Ning Cheng's. But in the blink of an eye, Ning Cheng had already stepped into the Tao sculpting realm, while he was still lingering in the full circle eternal realm. Qi Zimin couldn't help but feel an inexplicable awe. Ning Cheng stepped forward and patted Qi Zimin on the shoulder. Brother Shi, just call me Ning Cheng or Brother Ning as you used to. Qi Zimin had been running around outside all year round. Therefore, he knew that the ways of the world weren't something ordinary people could compare to. He could tell that Ning Cheng wasn't just being polite. Therefore, it was definitely a good thing for him to call Ning Cheng more intimately. Then I'll have to climb up the social ladder, Brother Ning. Qi Zimin quickly cupped his fists. After saying that, he said with a smile, this place is a place with poor spirit Qi. If Brother Ning doesn't have anything urgent to do, you can come with me to the Thunder River as a guest. Ning Cheng said apologetically, my junior apprentice sister is seriously injured, and I have to take her to a place to heal. If I have time, this Ning will definitely come to the Thunder River to visit Brother Shi. Qi Zimin had already seen Yan Ji a long time ago. He could also tell that Yan Ji was seriously injured and unconscious. Moreover, he invited Ning Cheng to the Thunder River for another reason. He wanted to ask the Sea Clan's Pill Master to help her. Ning Cheng's cultivation speed definitely made him a once-in-10,000 years genius. If the Sea Clan could win over such a person, it would definitely be a valuable investment. But now that Ning Cheng didn't want to go to the Sea Clan, he couldn't bring up the matter of helping Yan Ji heal. If Yan Ji went, his Sea Clan's Pill Master could take a look. If he did not go now, then he might not be able to cure his junior apprentice sister's injuries. Moreover, it might even delay Ning Cheng's treatment of his junior apprentice sister. Although my Sea Clan has a Tao sculpting pill deity, I'm not sure if I can help your junior apprentice sister. Therefore, I invited Brother Ning for another reason. It's about the Grand Essence Realm's Pill Discussion Conference. Qi Zimin said vaguely. Pill Discussion Conference? Ning Cheng asked in doubt. Qi Zimin nodded. The Pill Discussion Conference is very famous in the Grand Essence Realm. It is held every 200 years. Brother Ning must have heard of the 5 Grand Realms, right? Although the Grand Essence Realm is one of the 5 Grand Realms, it's still quite broken. If you want to set foot on a higher level, you have to go to the Grand Change Realm. But there aren't many ways to reach the Grand Change Realm. I only know that the pill discussion conference has a connection to the Grand Change realm, but I don't know much about the connection. Qi Zimin knew that Ning Cheng had a pill furnace and pill fire. His Xi clan had a Dao sculpting pill deity, so he invited Ning Cheng to borrow Ning Cheng's pill fire. When Ning Cheng heard Qi Zimin's words, he felt a little moved. But he quickly refused. Many thanks, Brother Qi, but I still can't go to your Xi clan. I killed Man Huishan's son, Man Jiuren. If Man Huishan learns that I have a relationship with your Xi clan, it will implicate you. Ah! Qi Zimin looked at Ning Cheng in a daze. Ning Cheng's words completely stunned him. He had heard about Man Jiuren's son's death, but he didn't pay much attention to it. Now that Ning Cheng said it, he understood how bold Ning Cheng was. If Ning Cheng really killed Man Jiuren, then he really wouldn't dare to invite Ning Cheng to the Xi clan. It would indeed bring disaster to the Xi clan. Seeing Qi Zimin's shocked and embarrassed look, Ning Cheng smiled at Qi Zimin. Brother Qi, I'm leaving. See you later. Dao friend Ning Cheng, please wait a moment. The Dao Nourishment Holy Emperor, who hadn't left, suddenly called out to Ning Cheng. He had been listening to the conversation between Ning Cheng and Qi Zimin. Ning Cheng stopped again, cupped his fists towards the Dao Nourishment Holy Emperor, and asked, Dao friend, what can I do for you? After he put away the pill furnace and pill fire, among the 3 Dao Nourishment Holy Emperors present, only this Dao Nourishment Holy Emperor didn't attack him. Ning Cheng still had a good impression of this Dao Nourishment Holy Emperor. The Dao Nourishment Holy Emperor also cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng with a smile. My name is Jian Sanshan. Brother Ning's means are amazing. It really makes me gasp in amazement. Ah! Your Dao Transformation Pill God 3. Before Ning Cheng could speak, Qi Zimin exclaimed from the side. The Dao Nourishment Holy Emperor smiled slightly. Yes, I'm the 3 mountains. I'm barely a Dao Transformation Pill God. Dao Transformation Pill God? Ning Cheng looked at Jian Sanshan in confusion. If the other party was a Dao Transformation Pill God, why didn't he find the location of the pill furnace? Chapter 950. Hearing Jian Sanshan admit it, Qi Zimin felt even more shocked. Who didn't know about Jian Sanshan's fame in the Grand Essence realm? He heard that the heaven-fusing pill he refined was almost equivalent to a Dao pill. A heaven-fusing pill could give a Dao Transformation Holy Emperor a 20% chance of breaking through the first step of Dao, confirming and advancing to the Dao Essence realm. However, some people said that the heaven-fusing pill wasn't perfect and had a lot of side effects. Holy Emperors who used the heaven-fusing pill to advance to the Dao Essence realm could only stop at the Dao Essence realm for the rest of their lives. No matter what the legends said, Jian Sanshan's name was still very famous. God knows how many holy emperors asked him for heaven-fusing pill. However, there were very few people who could make Jian Sanshan refine pills for them. Asking Jian Sanshan for alchemy was as difficult as climbing 3 endless mountains. Therefore, Jian Sanshan was also called the 3 mountains. 3 mountains? Ning Cheng repeated. He hadn't been in the Grand Essence realm for a long time, and he spent most of his time cultivating and fleeing. How could he know anything about the 3 mountains? Seeing that Ning Cheng didn't even know about Jian Sanshan, Qi Zimin quickly sent a sound transmission to Ning Cheng and told him about Jian Sanshan. Then, he bowed to Jian Sanshan. Thunder River Qi Zimin from the Qi clan greets Senior Jian. Jian Sanshan nodded to Qi Zimin and then looked at Ning Cheng with a smile on his face. No matter what pill Jian Sanshan refined, Ning Cheng wasn't interested in it. He was just about to leave when he heard Jian Sanshan speak again. If I'm not wrong, your junior apprentice sister once underwent spiritual cleansing because of her damaged foundation. Repairing one's foundation after spiritual cleansing is a rare opportunity for cultivators. As long as you focus on cultivation, you can reach a supreme height in the future. Unfortunately, Ning Cheng himself was a Dao sculpting pill saint. Therefore, when he heard Jian Sanshan's words, he immediately understood that the other party's knowledge far exceeded his. He didn't care about the heaven-fusing pill, but he cared a lot about Yan Ji's situation. I'm Ning Cheng, please enlighten me, Brother Jian. Ning Qing stopped his footsteps. Jian Sanshan didn't put on airs and said directly, after your junior apprentice sister repaired her foundation, the spirit essence spiritual chi she absorbed was dregs. I don't know why. It stands to reason that after she underwent spiritual cleansing and repaired her foundation, the spirit essence spiritual chi she absorbed should be the essence of the essence. Ning Cheng was surprised in his heart, and instantly understood what was going on. Because he had been riding on Yan Ji's back all year round, his life essence could feel a kind of external rich spirit essence spiritual chi scouring and cleansing it. Since he couldn't absorb the spirit essence chi, then without a doubt, it was Yan Ji who absorbed it. In other words, the essence of the spirit chi that Yan Ji absorbed was absorbed by him, while the remaining dregs were absorbed by her. After understanding this, Ning Qing felt even more guilty. Her foundation has been repaired, and the most important thing is to absorb pure God's spiritual energy to stabilize her foundation. On the other hand, she was the exact opposite. After absorbing the dregs of God's spiritual chi to cultivate, her repaired foundation was completely assimilated by the dregs. Although her cultivation had increased, in fact, it had damaged her repaired foundation for the second time. This time, his heavy injuries were like water from a broken dam. He would never be able to recover. In other words, her life ends here. At that point, Jian Sanshan shook his head with a very sympathetic expression. Ning Cheng's heart suddenly felt like it had fallen into an ice cave. He didn't think that his knowledge in this aspect was better than Jian Sanshan's. Seeing Ning Cheng's sluggish expression, Jian Sanshan spoke up again. I heard that the Grand God Pill sect has a Dao fruit called the Five Elements Heavenly Fruit. This Dao fruit can be used to refine Five Elements Spirit pills and comprehend the Five Elements Spirit techniques. The Five Elements Heavenly Fruit also has another effect. That is, if you take it directly, it can help people wake up. In other words, this Dao fruit can help your junior apprentice sister wake up. Of course, it can only wake her up. Many thanks for Brother Jian's guidance. Ning Qing bowed. Jian Sanshan's information was very important to him. Jian Sanshan returned the courtesy and said, it's just a trivial matter. But I want to remind Brother Ning that if you go to the Grand God Pill sect like this, I'm afraid you won't be able to get the Five Elements Heavenly Fruit. Each of these Dao fruits is very important to the Grand God Pill sect, and they won't casually give them to outsiders. Ning Cheng remained silent. He knew that even if he advanced to the Dao Sculpting Holy Emperor stage, he would still be a Dao Sculpting Pill saint. He still had a long way to go against some of the big sects in the Grand Essence realm. Maybe if a Dao Essence Holy Emperor appeared now, he could walk away calmly. But if he wanted to challenge the other party, he still needed a fire. I have a way to help Brother Ning get in touch with the pill deity of the Grand God Pill sect. As for how to exchange for the Five Elements Heavenly Fruit, it will depend on Brother Ning's means. After Jian Sanshan finished, he didn't wait for Ning Qing to ask anything and continued, just now, this friend of yours also said that it's to participate in the Grand Essence Realms Pill Discussion Conference. The Pill Discussion Conference will definitely have people from the Grand God Pill sect participating. If Brother Ning goes, I'm sure you can meet them. Ning Qing didn't believe that Jian Sanshan would help him for no reason. He looked at Jian Sanshan and said, Brother Jian, I don't have the qualifications to participate in the competition. Secondly, my alchemy skills are very poor. How can I participate in the Pill Discussion Conference? Jian Sanshan showed a slight smile. If Brother Ning's alchemy skills were poor, then you wouldn't have obtained the famous Wu Wu furnace and the pill fire. Since you can find the place to refine the Wu furnace and put away the Wu Wu furnace in such a short time, then you should at least be a Dao sculpting pill deity. Ning Qing frowned slightly and spoke with a calm tone, Brother Jian is a Dao transformation pill deity, yet you managed to refine the Wu furnace one step after me. I believe that Brother Jian's harvest wouldn't be any less than mine. Ning Cheng had already thought of this point. With the Wu furnace and the nameless flame, the pill sage's inheritance definitely had more than what he obtained. Since this Dao transformation pill sage sensed the core of the Wu furnace and didn't have time to refine it, it meant that he found something even better. Jian Sanshan spoke up in a non-committal manner, it's just a personal opportunity. My things might be given to you, but you might not want them. But they are extremely important to me. I have a lot of pill furnaces and pill fires, and I'm not used to changing them. It's just that everyone takes what they need. After briefly explaining the opportunity, Jian Sanshan spoke up with some caution. The preliminary round of the pill discussion conference is a two-person team. As long as you have the identity of a pill emperor or above, you can participate. I've always been a loner and couldn't find anyone in my team. I think it's the most suitable for me to team up with Brother Ning. If Brother Ning wants, we can form a team to participate in the preliminary round. I believe that with Brother Ning's alchemy skills, you definitely have the identity card of a pill emperor. Ning Qing understood Jian Sanshan's meaning and spoke up with a faint smile. Brother Jian thinks too highly of me. I really want to know why Brother Jian chose me. Also, I just said that I killed Man Jiuren, yet Brother Jian doesn't fear Man Huishan and wants to team up with me. Jian Sanshan laughed, just based on the fact that Brother Ning managed to obtain the pill furnace and the pill fire, as well as the fact that Brother Ning managed to obtain the pill furnace and the pill fire, and did not kill them all. I believe that Brother Ning is worthy of our trust, whether it is the level of the Tao of Alchemy or your character. As for Man Huishan, I didn't provoke his barbarian dragon clan. I believe that even if he saw us together, he wouldn't do anything to me. As for how he treats Brother Ning, I can't help him. Jian Sanshan spoke straightforwardly. Although Ning Qing guessed that the other party definitely didn't do it for this reason, it still satisfied him. He nodded and said, okay, in that case, I'll go to the Pill Exchange Grand Assembly with Brother Jian. He had a rank 8 Pill Emperor identity card on him, which belonged to Ji He. For the Pill Exchange Grand Assembly, as long as you had the identity card, no one would care about whose identity card it was. It wasn't until Ning Cheng and Jian Sanshan reached an agreement that Qi Zimin respectfully bid farewell to Ning Cheng and Jian Sanshan. The Pill Exchange Grand Assembly was held in the Grand Essence Realm's premier sacred city, Heaven Essence Sacred City. After forming an alliance with Ning Cheng, Jian Sanshan brought out an airship-type artifact and flew directly to Heaven Essence Sacred City. Ning Cheng had been to Heaven Essence Sacred City once before. The Grand Essence Great Meet was held in Heaven Essence Sacred City. It was also in this place that he spent 10 bottles of Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pills in exchange for the Star Stepping Tower Master's protection. Of course, for Ning Cheng, these 10 bottles of Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pills weren't wasted. If not for the Star Stepping Tower Master's promise, he wouldn't have been able to complete the Spirit Essence conversion of the extraterritorial Spirit Spring, let alone comprehend the law-breaking Spirit technique and finally reach Tao confirming. Now that he had a Tao sculpting cultivation and powerful spirit techniques, he could go to Heaven Essence Sacred City openly. Not to mention that Man Huishan might not come out. Even if Man Huishan came out, he wouldn't dare to do anything to him. Taking 10,000 steps back, even if Man Huishan wanted to do something to him, he wouldn't feel afraid. He could escape from Man Huishan's pursuit when he was in the Eternal Realm. So how could he be 1,000 times stronger than the Eternal Realm he was back then? Brother Ning, if I'm not wrong, you must be Ji He, right? I heard that Dragon Emperor Man Huishan chased you into the land of broken laws and hasn't come out until now. Jian Sanshan and Ning Qing stood side by side at the bow of the airship and spoke with a smile. Man Huishan had long known that Ning Qing was Ji He. So now that Jian Sanshan asked, Ning Qing didn't hide it and directly admitted it, yes, I'm Ji He. Then, is the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill real? Jian Sanshan's tone turned a little excited. Ning Qing also admitted it directly, yes, the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill was jointly researched by me and another pill sage. After the preliminary round, I will give this pill recipe to Brother Jian. Many thanks, Brother Ning. It's just that I'm afraid I won't be able to accept such a precious pill recipe. Jian Sanshan knew that he felt guilty, but he couldn't refuse the temptation. What kind of medicinal pill was the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill? It was a peerless divine pill that could expand one's sea of consciousness and cultivate one's spiritual consciousness. Even if he wanted to refuse such a pill recipe, he couldn't find an excuse. He wasn't the kind of person who transcended everything. As for why Ning Qing waited until after the preliminary round to give him the pill recipe, Jian Sanshan knew it very well. Ning Qing most likely wanted to use this pill recipe to exchange for the 5 elements heavenly fruit with the Grand God Pill sect. Ning Qing nodded with a smile but didn't speak. Who was Jian Sanshan? A Tao transformation pill deity. If this Tao transformation pill deity was willing to take him to the alchemy conference just because of his good character, even Ning Qing wouldn't believe it. Now that Jian Sanshan mentioned the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill, how could Ning Qing not understand the other party's intentions? Perhaps for Jian Sanshan, he only needed a few Empyrean consciousness transmutation pills. Ning Qing might as well be generous and directly give the pill recipe to the other party. In any case, the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill recipe didn't contain any divine chalcedony. It was just a piece of waste paper. Chapter 951. I have a cave in Heaven Essence Sacred City. Do you want to stay in my cave or in a rest stop? After entering Grand Essence Sacred City, Jian Sanshan asked Ning Qing. He felt very satisfied with the cooperation with Ning Qing. In fact, with his reputation, there were too many pill gods who wanted to curry favor with him in the preliminary round. He chose to cooperate with Ning Qing to help Ning Qing. The reason why he helped Ning Qing, apart from Ning Qing's furnace, was that he wanted to buy a few Empyrean consciousness transmutation pills from Ning Qing. He didn't expect Ning Qing to be so generous and even promised to give him the pill recipe for the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pills. Ning Qing smiled. I'll stay in the rest stop. If anything happens, Brother Jian can send me a message. There were still 5 months before the pill discussion assembly. Ning Qing had a bunch of divine grasses on him, but he didn't have time to practice alchemy. During these 5 months, he could study alchemy and also figure out how to wake Yanji up. Although he believed that Jian Sanshan wasn't talking nonsense, Ning Qing still wanted to confirm it himself. Jian Sanshan didn't care about it. After exchanging communication pearls with Ning Qing, he told Ning Qing about his residence before separating from Ning Qing. After Jian Sanshan left, Ning Qing didn't choose Heaven Essence Sacred City's first rest stop, Star Stepping Tower. Instead, he chose a medium-sized rest stop, Tao Seeking Rest Stop. The Star Stepping Tower's tower master surnamed Nya was too terrifying, and Ning Qing had too many secrets. He didn't want to live under the nose of such a powerhouse. There were still a few months before the pill discussion assembly. Although Heaven Essence Sacred City was still bustling, it wouldn't be like the last time, where he couldn't even find a room. Senior, how can I help you? As soon as Ning Qing stepped into the Tao-seeking rest stop, a quick-witted man in the heaven-seated realm greeted him. I want the best room, and I also need you to do something for me. Ning Qing said casually. Hearing Ning Qing say the best room, a few spiritual consciousnesses swept over. But after seeing Ning Qing's cultivation, these spiritual consciousnesses immediately retracted. Ning Qing didn't care. If he were still an eternal cultivator, people would have taken note of his words just now. But now that he was a Tao sculpting holy emperor, even if people knew that he was rich, no one would dare to have any ideas about him. Those divine emperors above the Tao-birthed divine emperor would not go so far as to resort to sneak attacks for some divine crystals. The Tao-seeking rest stop was currently quite empty, and Ning Qing managed to find a large suite as he wished. Apart from 5 to 6 rooms, there was also a reception hall. The god's spiritual qi in the room was also very abundant. Ning Qing took out a storage ring and handed it to the shop assistant who brought him up. There are 5 million spirit crystals in this ring. Go and help me buy all the healing jade strips in the entire Heaven Essence Sacred City. Of which, 500,000 spirit crystals are your remuneration. The shop assistant felt a little stunned when he heard the first half of Ning Qing's sentence. But when he heard the reward of 500,000 spirit crystals, he didn't even speak half a word of nonsense. He quickly grabbed the ring and respectfully replied, Yes, Senior. This junior will definitely help Senior with it. After the shop assistant left, Ning Cheng began to rearrange the array formation restrictions around the room. This shop assistant did things quickly. In just 3 days, he had collected all the jade strips that Ning Cheng needed. Dismissing the shop assistant, Ning Cheng directly hung up the sign for seclusion. He was ready to study the healing jade strip while refining pills. Ning Cheng opened the ring of the early stage Tao Nourishment Holy Emperor he killed in the Black-White Mountain Range. Apart from tens of millions of spirit crystals, he also found a pile of artifact crafting and alchemy materials. As for the medicinal pills and weapons, Ning Cheng didn't care about them at all. What really made Ning Cheng happy wasn't the Tao Nourishment Holy Emperor's ring, but the furnace. After he completely refined the furnace, Ning Cheng was truly happy. This pill furnace wasn't something his traceless furnace could compare to. Not to mention the furnace, even the first primal chaos furnace, second under heaven furnace, and third under heaven furnace, all 3 pill furnaces were far stronger than his traceless furnace. As for the snow-white flame called Nameless, it was even more of a pleasant surprise. Ning Cheng didn't know what Sword 3 Mountain obtained from the furnace. But if he had to exchange these 4 furnaces plus the Nameless flame for Sword 3 Mountain, Ning Cheng would never be willing. What's more, Ning Cheng also obtained a pile of alchemy jade strips from the furnace. These jade strips not only contain some insights on alchemy but also some precious pill recipes. After refining the 4 furnaces and the flame, Ning Cheng continued to study the Tao of alchemy and Yan Ji's injuries. Once Ning Cheng concentrated on one thing, his progress would be absolutely rapid. 3 months later, Ning Cheng could already refine Tao Nourishment Divine Pills. Because he had to study Yan Ji's injuries while refining pills, the consumption of divine grasses on him was also astonishing. In 3 months, he had consumed almost half of them. Unfortunately, even after advancing to the Tao Nourishment Pill deity realm and studying tens of thousands of healing jade strips, he still couldn't wake Yan Ji up. However, the 3 months weren't in vain. At least he knew that Sword 3 Mountain didn't lie to him. Yan Ji indeed needed the 5 elements heavenly fruit to wake up. Although the 5 elements heavenly fruit could wake Yan Ji up safely, it couldn't restore Yan Ji's cultivation foundation. He spent 5 million spirit crystals to buy the jade strips, but he still couldn't find the answer. On this day, Ning Cheng was refining a furnace of solitary adversity pills. The solitary adversity pill was a healing pill and belonged to the Tao transformation grade. In fact, Ning Cheng already had a 40% success rate in refining this pill. According to Ning Cheng's method of summarizing his experience in alchemy, he could become a Tao transformation pill saint in less than a month. Ning Cheng had just put away the solitary adversity pill and hadn't cleaned up the pill furnace when the communication pearl given to him by Sword 3 Mountain lit up. A message appeared in the communication pearl: "Brother Ning, the alchemy conference is about to begin. Many pill deities have gathered in Heaven Essence Sacred City. For the next few days, the 2nd floor of Heaven Essence Sacred City's 100 Herb building will be conducting pill herb trading. If Brother Ning is interested, you can come over and have a look." Ning Cheng knew about Heaven Essence Sacred City's 100 Herb building. It was the largest place for pill herb trading in Heaven Essence Sacred City. This place didn't belong to any sect or force, but something left behind by 100 Herb Holy Emperor. It had a total of 3 floors, each with a huge surface area. The first floor was a place for people to trade all kinds of ordinary divine grasses or medicinal pills. You could set up stalls here or sell your things. But one thing was that no one was allowed to set up a long-term shop here. The 2nd floor was the trading hall for high-grade divine grasses. It was also in a scattered form. You could sell or auction them here, but no shops were allowed. The 3rd floor was a place to discuss the Tao of alchemy, and it was the only floor that required an entrance fee. Once an alchemy conference was held, a certain fee would be charged. Ning Cheng had already planned to go out for a stroll. Now that Sword 3 Mountain called him, he naturally didn't hesitate. He packed up his things and headed towards the 100 Herb building. The 100 Herb building wasn't too far from where Ning Cheng lived. Ning Cheng arrived at the 100 Herb building in less than half an incense stick worth of time. The 100 Herb building looked a little mottled on the outside, indicating that it had been here for a long time. The gate was several feet high and wide, with people coming in and out from time to time. After Ning Ching entered the first floor of the 100-herb building, the only impression he got was that it was a mess. Countless noises and bargaining sounds filled the air, just like a vegetable market. Ning Ching shook his head. This 100-herb building didn't have any rules, which made it convenient for many rogue cultivators. It also made this place look low-grade. Many cultivators with precious divine grasses were reluctant to come to this place. Even if they came, they wouldn't stay on the first floor. Not staying on the first floor, Ning Ching went straight to the second floor of the 100-herb building. The second floor looked much cleaner than the first floor, and the noise had also disappeared. Even if there were people bargaining, they would lower their voices and do it in a corner. After all, most of the people who came to the second floor were powerhouses or pill deities. If a low-level cultivator dared to make a racket here, someone would not hesitate to throw this noisy cultivator away. "Brother Ning, over here." Sword 3 Mountain saw Ning Ching walking in with a glance. Ning Ching was carrying Yan Ji on his back, which made him a bit too obvious. Ning Ching waved his hand and was about to go over when he suddenly heard someone speak up with disdain, "I've sold the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill before. Although the Refining Heart Pill is precious, it shouldn't be more precious than the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill, right? What's so strange about my Bei clan getting the Refining Heart Pill? If you want it, as long as you can take out what I want, I promise to get it for you." Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill. Ning Cheng's gaze immediately fell over. He immediately saw the cultivator who spoke. It was a young man with long hair and a slightly pale face. His eyes were long and slender, and his lips were thin. He had a Dao sculpting cultivation, and from the looks of it, his Dao charm looked relatively solid. From the looks of it, he should have advanced to Dao sculpting for some time. Without waiting for the other party to speak, Ning Ching walked over and asked, "Did you just say that you can get the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill?" The long-haired Dao sculpting man glanced at Ning Cheng, and his gaze quickly fell on Yan Ji on Ning Cheng's back. Even if Yan Ji was unconscious, he still felt shocked by Yan Ji's beauty and forgot to answer Ning Cheng's question for a while. Ning Cheng's face sank slightly, and he spoke with an unhappy tone, "Can you get the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill?" The long-haired Dao sculpting man finally moved his gaze away from Yan Ji and looked at Ning Cheng coldly. "That's right. I can get my hands on the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill. I was the one who obtained the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill from the Grand God Pill sect. It's useless for you to ask, because I don't want to sell it to you. If you hand over the woman behind you to me, maybe I can consider it." "Hee, bye-bye, even if someone gives you the furnace, you can't get the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill, can you? You won't always have such good luck to meet 2 ants with Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pills." A sarcastic voice appeared, apparently puncturing the long-haired Dao sculpting Holy Emperor's words. When Ning Cheng heard this, his eyes narrowed, and the murderous aura around him instantly condensed. The ice-cold murderous aura made the cultivators standing around Ning Cheng shudder, and they subconsciously moved away. These cultivators secretly felt shocked. The murderous aura condensed by Ning Cheng was just too terrifying. "Did you snatch the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill from a man and a woman?" Ning Cheng took a step forward, and his murderous aura completely enveloped the Dao sculpting man called Bei Bai. Chapter 952. Bei Bai, who originally didn't put Ning Cheng in his eyes, didn't dare to move under Ning Cheng's imposing aura. He had a feeling that as long as he moved, Ning Cheng's killing power would tear him to pieces. "What do you want?" Bei Bai spoke up in a trembling voice, his tone revealing his weakness. Ning Cheng suddenly took a step forward, reached out, grabbed Bei Bai's neck, and lifted him up. "Listen carefully. I'm the one asking you the questions now." The aura of death enveloped him, and Bei Bai's soul almost left his body. Only then did he remember what Ning Cheng had just asked. He replied in a trembling voice, "A female cultivator named Wu Qihong and a female cultivator named Xian Xiu sold them to us." Ning Cheng sneered and exerted more strength in his hand. The killing power completely locked onto Bei Bai. Where are these two people? If you say you don't know, then you can go reincarnate. I'll allow you to reincarnate. Ning Cheng didn't believe even half a word of Bei Bai's words. Xian Xiao and Wu Qihong were rogue cultivators who had wandered the world for a long time. If they didn't have the intelligence to sell the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pills under their real names, they would have died a long time ago. How could they persist until the eternal realm? Ning Cheng didn't even bother to uncover Bei Bai's lies and directly threatened him with death. I'm from the Bei clan. Before Bei Bai could finish his sentence, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Ning Cheng had directly broken 2 of his meridians. I said, they're in my Bei clan. Bei Bai no longer dared to use the Bei clan to threaten Ning Cheng and directly revealed the whereabouts of Xian Xiao and Wu Qihong. Ning Cheng's thoughts turned and immediately understood. Regardless of how Xian Xiao and Wu Qihong ended up in the Bei clan's hands, the Bei clan hadn't killed the 2 of them yet. Wu Qihong and Xian Xiao were at most in the eternal realm. This kind of cultivation had no value. The only value they had was that they were Ji He's junior brother and junior sister. Ji He had given them the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pills. Now that the Bei clan imprisoned Xian Xiao and Wu Qihong, it meant that they were waiting for Ji He to deliver the pills to them. Taking a step back, even if Ji He didn't go, the Bei clan wouldn't lose anything. There was no need to care about whether the 2 loose cultivators were dead or alive. Audacious, a mere Tier 8 pill emperor dares to make a move in the 100 Herbs house. A cold voice resounded, and a sharp killing intent enveloped Ning Cheng. This time, he didn't even wait for Ning Cheng to do anything. Instead, a similarly space-shaking imposing aura blasted out. The 2 imposing auras surged in the hall, and the spirit essence erupted with bursts of explosions. If it weren't for the fact that the 2 of them had misgivings and that the 100 Herb Tower's restrictive spells were extremely powerful, this clash would have turned the 100 Herb Tower into nothingness. A powerful spiritual consciousness swept over. At the same time, a cold voice sounded out, if you dare to make a move in the 100 Herb house again, I will directly kill you. A powerful spiritual consciousness surged over, causing Ning Cheng's hand to loosen, allowing Bei Bai to fall to the ground. All the restlessness quietened down. This was the spiritual sense of a primordial chaos expert. Who would dare to move when such a spiritual sense swept over? Although the 100 Herb Tower no longer belonged to anyone, it was still guarded by experts. Brother Jian, what is the meaning of this? The one who attacked Ning Cheng just now was a Dao Nourishment Holy Emperor. When he saw that it was Jian Sanshan who stopped him, his expression turned ugly. He originally wanted to help Bei Bai and leave a good impression on the Bei clan when he saw that Ning Cheng's cultivation wasn't that great. He didn't expect Jian Sanshan to help. Even though Bei Bai came from the Bei clan, Jian Sanshan's reputation wasn't any worse than the Bei clan's. The Bei clan could only be regarded as a minor clan in the Grand Essence domain. The reason why many people knew about it wasn't because of the Bei clan's strength, but because the Bei clan had a Dao transformation alchemy deity. At the same time, the Bei clan had some channels to obtain some precious divine grasses and medicinal pills. Jian Sanshan was also a Dao transformation alchemy deity and the only Dao transformation alchemy deity who could refine the fusing heaven pill. Jian Sanshan stood next to Ning Cheng and said with a calm tone, Ning Cheng is my friend. If you attack him, you'll be attacking me. Ning Cheng nodded at Jian Sanshan and turned to Bei Bai, who had fallen to the ground, and said in a cold voice, lead the way. Ah! Despite being saved by a primordial chaos expert, Bei Bai still felt a natural fear towards Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng glanced at him coldly. Lead the way to your Bei clan. Doesn't your Bei clan want the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill? I happen to have a few. This time, Bei Bai finally heard it clearly and felt ecstatic. This fellow thought that he could sweep through the Bei clan just by restraining him. Now that the other party was courting death, there was no reason for him to hesitate. Thinking of this, Bei Bai stood up and left without saying anything. 2 of his meridians were broken, but not all of them were broken. His strength had regressed, but his movements were fine. Ning Cheng immediately followed. It wasn't that he hadn't thought about the Bei clan having a primordial Dao expert. Ning Cheng believed that even if there was a primordial Dao expert, he could still walk away calmly. Besides, it wouldn't be easy for a small clan like the Bei clan to have a primordial Dao expert. Thinking about the barbarian dragon clan, apart from a Dao integration expert, the highest cultivation level was only at the primordial Dao realm. Brother Ning, I'll go with you. Jian Sanshan followed Ning Cheng. Seeing that Ning Cheng was puzzled and wanted to speak, Jian Sanshan smiled slightly. The Bei clan only has a Dao transformation holy emperor. It's not a clan. The reason they have some fame is because they have a Dao transformation alchemy deity. When Ning Cheng heard Jian Sanshan's words, he understood. Jian Sanshan followed him, but he didn't have to do anything. A Dao transformation alchemy deity could still call on many experts to help. With Jian Sanshan, a Dao transformation alchemy deity, there would be fewer people who would respond to the call of a Dao transformation alchemy deity. Just like when a Dao transformation alchemy deity attacked Ning Cheng in the 100 Herb Tower to please the Bei clan. But after Jian Sanshan stood up, this Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor didn't say anything and just left. Then, many thanks, Brother Jian. Ning Cheng cupped his fists and thanked him. In fact, if the Bei clan only had a Dao transformation alchemy deity, he wouldn't be afraid. At most, he would use the 5-colored star splitter arrow to kill this Dao transformation alchemy deity. As for the others, the bridge of helplessness would be enough. Jian Sanshan also had good intentions, so Ning Cheng didn't refuse. Laren River's Bei clan, thousands of miles away from Heaven Essence Sacred City. For ordinary people, this distance was something they couldn't reach in their lifetime. For some holy emperors, thousands of miles was like the back door. It wouldn't take them long at all. No one knew how many clans like the Bei clan existed in the Grand Essence domain. The reason why the Bei clan could stand above the other small clans was because the Bei clan had 3 pill deities. The most accomplished one was already a Dao transformation alchemy deity. A Dao transformation alchemy god was in existence that even the top 10 sects wanted to rope in. At this time, the Bei clan was overflowing with joy. One reason was that the clan's Dao transformation alchemy deity, Belali, had come out of seclusion and was preparing to go to the Heaven Essence Sacred City to participate in the alchemy conference. Another reason was that Bellamy, who was about to come out of seclusion, had made a breakthrough in the research of the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill. Family head Bei Qianhai and a group of Bei clan's elders congratulated Bell Oak on coming out of seclusion. They then prepared to send someone to escort Bell Oak to Heaven Essence Sacred City. Bei Qianhai had fair skin and no facial hair. Like Bei Bai, his eyes were long and narrow. Perhaps it had something to do with the cultivation technique he practiced. There was an invisible murderous aura around his body. At this moment, a panic-stricken figure rushed in. When Bei Qianhai saw the panicking figure, he frowned slightly and his face darkened. The Bei clan wanted to rush into the ranks of the Grand Essence domain's great clans. Of course, they had to follow the rules. Rushing into the Bei clan's hall in such a panic would only make the Bei clan lose face forever. Deacon Meng. A Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor sitting next to Bei Qianhai didn't wait for the family head to speak and took the initiative to question him. The deacon who rushed in didn't wait for the blame to be placed on him and spoke in a panic. I just got the news from Heaven Essence Sacred City. Young Master Bai's meridians were destroyed. What? Bei Qianhai's face was filled with anger and he suddenly stood up. The Bei clan was a famous pill clan. Yet, someone dared to directly destroy Bei Bai's meridians? Bei Bai was his nephew on the surface, but in reality, he was his son. How could he, Bei Qianhai, endure someone destroying his son's meridians? Big brother, our Bei clan has some fame in the Grand Essence domain. Since this person dared to destroy young Master Bai's meridians, he must have some background. A black-faced man said solemnly. Even without the black-faced man's reminder, Bei Qianhai also calmed down. His son's meridians were destroyed, so he had to take revenge. But before that, he had to figure out who the other party was. I'll investigate immediately. Who is this person? Bei Qianhai's cold voice came out through gritted teeth. Before Deacon Meng could answer, the people in the hall heard the restrictions around them creaking. Then, a cold voice arrived, no need to investigate. I'm here. Xin Xiao and Wu Qihong were implicated by him. Since Ning Qing came to the Bei clan, how could he be polite? His spiritual consciousness blades had already turned the Bei clan's restrictions and array formations into a complete mess. The Bei clan hadn't even sensed Ning Cheng's arrival, but Ning Qing already knew about the Bei clan's actions. This was the power of a spiritual consciousness attack combined with the Tao of array. As Ning Cheng's voice fell, everyone in the hall saw who had arrived. There were 3 people. Ning Cheng was holding Bei Bai's neck while carrying a woman on his back. Bei Bai's mouth was still bleeding, and his aura was in a mess. Apparently, it wasn't a lie that his meridians were destroyed. Jian Sanshan stood beside Ning Cheng without any expression. Jian Sanshan. What do you mean? My Bei clan has nothing to do with your Jian Sanshan. You actually. The first person Bei Qianhai recognized was naturally not Ning Cheng, but Jian Sanshan, who was standing beside Ning Cheng. Jian Sanshan smiled slightly. Bei clan head, you might be mistaken. This has nothing to do with me. I'm just passing by. By the way, let me introduce to Bei clan head. This is Ning Cheng. When Bei Qianhai heard Jian Sanshan's words, his cold gaze fell on Ning Cheng once again. So what if he had the support of Jian Sanshan? His Bei clan wasn't afraid of Jian Sanshan. I wonder how my Bei clan offended this friend. This friend was so vicious and directly destroyed Bei Bai's meridians. Bei Qianhai's tone calmed down. Before knowing Ning Cheng's background, he didn't want to act rashly. Chapter 953. I heard that your Bei family is looking for the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pills formula. I happen to have this pill recipe, and I also happen to have the materials for this pill recipe. I even happen to know how to refine the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill. Bei Qianhai instantly understood that Man Huishan had said that Ji He was a fake. Now that Ning Cheng had spoken those words, if he still did not understand that the Ning Cheng in front of him was the fake Ji He, then he would truly be a pig. You are. Bei Qianhai pointed at Ning Cheng with an excited expression. If Ning Cheng was Ji He, then he would not need to be afraid at all. The cultivator who impersonated Ji He was a rogue cultivator without any backing. Otherwise, why would he take out 10 bottles of Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pills to the Star Stepping Tower Master and ask the Star Stepping Tower Master to save his life? An itinerant cultivator without any backing actually dared to attack the Bei family. Wasn't he courting death? As long as the Bei family captured him, the Bei family would have the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill. With the Bei family possessing the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill, one could imagine that they would soon become one of the top clans in the Grand Essence realm. If it weren't for the fact that Ning Qing still had his son, Bei Bai, in his hands, he would have already given the order to rush forward. Put Bibi down, and I'll allow you to leave. Bei Qianhai forcefully suppressed his excitement. Compared to the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill, his son's broken meridians were nothing. Ning Qing calmly spoke up, I heard that my junior apprentice sister Xin Xiao and junior apprentice brother Wu Qihong were locked up by your Bei clan. Send them out in exchange for Bei Bai. Otherwise, Bei Bai will die. After Ning Qing spoke the word, death, his spirit essence once again revolved around Bei Bai's body. A few more of Bei Bai's meridians were broken, and his pale face turned an unhealthy shade of red. He opened his mouth and spat out a few arrows of blood. Bei Qianhai, on seeing Bei Bai being tortured by Ning Cheng, felt so angry that his hands and feet trembled. After a while, he held back his anger and said, Go and bring Xin Xiao and Wu Qihong. In just a dozen breaths, Xin Xiao and Wu Qihong were brought up. If he hadn't met Xin Xiao and Wu Qihong before, Ning Cheng would have just wanted to teach the Bei family a lesson. Now that he saw Xin Xiao and Wu Qihong, his anger immediately erupted. Xian Xiu and Wu Qihong had long since lost their limbs. Not only that, but there was not a single part of their body that was still intact. Xian Xiu, a female cultivator, was beaten to the point that she only had a few strips of cloth on her body, which couldn't cover anything. It can be said that if it weren't for the Bei family not allowing Xian Xiu and Wu Qihong to die, the two of them would have died many times over. At the thought of how he had only crippled two of Bei Bai's meridians, Bei Qianhai had said that his methods were vicious. The flames of anger burned in Ning Cheng's heart. If not for Xian Xiu and Wu Qihong, Ning Cheng would have already started killing them. I've brought him here. Can you hand Bei Bai over to the Bei family now? Bei Qianhai stared at Ning Cheng with cold eyes. As long as Ning Cheng made even the slightest move, even if he did not want his son, Bei Bai, he would not hesitate to make his move. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath and forcibly suppressed the flames in his chest. He then took out two robes and wrapped them around Xian Xiu and Wu Qihong before speaking to Jian Sanshan, "Brother Jian, please help my junior apprentice brother and junior apprentice sister. Take them to the Heaven Essence Sacred City. After I finish the things here, I'll come over soon." Although Jian Sanshan had some doubts about whether Ning Cheng could withstand the Bei family's anger, he also knew that he couldn't help much here. Once a fight broke out, the Bei family would no longer recognize him as Jian Sanshan. "Okay, Brother Ning, take care." Jian Sanshan grabbed Xian Xiu and Wu Qihong and instantly left the Bei family. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness kept watching Jian Sanshan leave before taking back his spiritual consciousness. From Ning Cheng's instructions to Jian Sanshan leaving with Xian Xiu and Wu Qihong, Bei Qianhai did not make any move. Only after Jian Sanshan left did Bei Qianhai stare at Ning Cheng coldly. "Can you hand Bei Bai over to my Bei family now?" "Yes." After Ning Cheng spoke those two words in a cold voice, he raised his hand and threw out Bei Bai. Bei Qianhai felt happy in his heart. He took a step forward and raised his hand to grab Bei Bai. As long as Bei Bai was safe, even if Ning Cheng had 3 heads and 6 arms, he wouldn't be able to walk out of the Bei family. Just as Bei Qianhai was about to touch Bei Bai, a violent spatial fluctuation appeared, startling Bei Qianhai. Before he could react, he heard a bang. Bei Bai, who had been thrown at him, turned into a cloud of blood mist in the air. A powerful spirit essence exploded, covering Bei Qianhai's entire body in blood. "Beast, I will swallow you alive." Bei Qianhai screamed in agony. Then, he roared in an even more mournful voice, "All Bei family's disciples, listen up. Capture this person alive. The Bei family will skin this person and burn his soul." Not to mention that the Bei family wanted to attack Ning Cheng. The moment Ning Cheng killed Bei Bai, he had already prepared to destroy the Bei family. First Bridge of Coping. Ning Cheng issued the command almost at the same time as Bei Qianhai. The 7 Bridges realm book rustled and floated in the air. The pale white First Bridge of Coping appeared out of thin air amidst the endless nether winds. Yin Qi surged, and the First Bridge of Coping became more solid than ever. The surging blood river condensed and turned the Bei family's residence into hell in a short time. None of the Bei family's disciples in the hall were spared, and they all rushed towards the Bridge of Coping. Most of the Bei family's cultivators didn't even need to take the initiative to enter the Bridge of Coping. The nether winds had already swept out of the First Bridge of Coping. As long as they were within the Bei family's territory, they would be swept away by the First Bridge of Coping without exception. As more and more Bei family cultivators were swept into the blood river of the First Bridge of Coping became even more turbulent. The violent nether winds also became more terrifying. No return in life, no retreat in death. Once you enter, you will never return. The distant call from the Bridge of Coping constantly bombarded the Bei family's disciples' souls. At this moment, endless disasters descended on the Bei family. No. Bei Qianhai let out a tragic cry. He stopped in front of the 5-word stone tablet on the Bridge of Coping. There were only 4 words in his heart. The Bei family was finished. At this moment, his hatred could wash the 3 rivers and dry the 4 seas. His Bei family was preparing to become one of the great families of the Grand Essence realm. How could they be wiped out? As a Tao transformation divine emperor, if he didn't know that Ning Cheng's spirit art was one of the 7 bridges, he wouldn't be worthy of being the Bei family's family head. A puny Tao molding divine emperor actually had such terrifying means. The ant he thought he had to kill now wanted to wipe out the Bei family. At this moment, his regret could also sweep up the Grand Essence Sea. No matter how good the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill was, the Bei family was gone. What was the use of it? He regretted being blinded by the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill. How could a person who dared to kill Manjuran fear his Bei family? Stop! Bei Qianhai took out his magic treasure. Although he didn't cross the first bridge of coping, he was still affected by the billowing nether winds of the first bridge of coping. The 3 Tao Nourishment Divine Emperors who stepped onto the first bridge of coping instantly woke up after hearing Bei Qianhai's tragic cry. The 3 Tao Nourishment Divine Emperors immediately wanted to exit the first bridge of coping, but Bei Qianhai had already taken out his magic treasure. How could Ning Cheng let the 3 Tao Nourishment Divine Emperors walk out of the first bridge of coping? He didn't hesitate to use his law-breaking spirit art. At the same time, more than a dozen time wheels shot out. Under the law-breaking spirit art, the 3 Tao Nourishment Divine Emperors paused slightly. But before they could react, the time wheels shot out like death talismans. Boom! A bright and dazzling light blasted into Ning Cheng's chest. Ning Cheng still didn't care about it. Instead, his time wheels shot out one after another. Even if he had to face Bei Qianhai alone, he couldn't have a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor on the side to help him. PFFF. When Ning Cheng's chest was pierced by another light, the 3 Tao Nourishment Divine Emperors who were still wandering on the bridge of coping were swept into the blood river by the time wheels and disappeared without a trace. The first bridge of coping made a kacha sound before disappearing without a trace. Ning Cheng spat out a mouthful of blood, swallowed a few medicinal pills, and looked coldly at Bei Qianhai in front of him. At this time, only Bei Qianhai remained in the entire Bei family's hall. The others had already turned into a drop of blood under the bridge of coping. Bei Qianhai didn't get injured because Ning Cheng had to deal with the others and didn't have the energy to deal with Bei Qianhai. Bei Qianhai's body was even trembling, and his eyes were as red as blood. At this moment, he didn't need to say anything. Ning Cheng had sucked countless disciples of the Bei family into the first bridge of coping. How could he be satisfied if he didn't extract Ning Cheng's soul and light up the lamp? The huge red tower condensed more and more killing power above Bei Qianhai's head. Everything around him seemed to be under Bei Qianhai's control. No, it didn't seem to be. Everything was truly under Bei Qianhai's control. He already understood that Ning Cheng was a body-refining expert with a starry sky body. Otherwise, his 2 light beams would have turned Ning Cheng into nothingness. Now that he was the only one left in the Bei family, he wouldn't kill Ning Cheng so easily. He wanted to suppress Ning Cheng, peel off his skin, pull out his tendons, and light up his soul. World Suppression Pagoda, suppress. As Bei Qianhai gnashed his teeth, the terrifying pressure from the red tower increased. Ning Cheng couldn't even hold on. Ning Cheng's domain completely enveloped Yan Ji. He knew that if he wasn't a body-refining expert, the 2 light beams would have killed him. Bei Qianhai was a Tao transformation divine emperor, but it seemed that Bei Qianhai was stronger than him. Moreover, his second village viewing bridge hadn't condensed yet. Even if he brought it out, he might not be able to stop Bei Qianhai. Perhaps when he reached the late-stage Tao sculpting realm, he might be able to fight against Bei Qianhai, but not now. Or rather, even if he could, Ning Cheng didn't want to waste time in the Bei family. To Ning Cheng, the Bei family definitely couldn't stay for long because he was seriously injured. The moment Bei Qianhai's red tower descended, Ning Cheng, who seemed to be bound, suddenly waved his hand strangely. Law breaking. At this moment, the bound space around him instantly cleared up, and a long black arrow appeared out of thin air. Under this long black arrow, there was a 5-colored longbow that had condensed out of nowhere. As soon as the long arrow appeared, killing intense soared. Soon, the surrounding space was filled with killing power, and the arrow's body also turned five-colored. An inexplicable chill rose from Bei Qianhai's back. Bei Qianhai was horrified to find that he was locked by the long arrow and couldn't move at all. A terrifying aura of death spread out, completely enveloping his mind. Chapter 954. The aura of death spread out from his mind. As the death aura grew heavier and heavier, the five-colored arrow grew weaker and weaker. As the longbow grew rounder and rounder, Bei Qianhai felt as if he had stepped onto the edge of the cliff of death. This was the five-colored star splitter arrow. It was definitely the five-colored star splitter arrow. Apart from the five-colored star splitter arrow, he couldn't think of any other arrow that could allow a Dao sculpting cultivator to lock him in place and make him watch death come. No. Bei Qianhai screamed again. He didn't want to die, let alone watch himself walk towards death step by step. Please don't shoot this arrow. Everything in my Bei clan is yours. I'm just your dog. In the face of death, Bei Qianhai trembled. He was afraid. If he could choose, he would rather kill Bei by himself than provoke a terrifying Dao sculpting expert like Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng showed no sadness or joy. Instead, the five-colored star splitter arrow sucked away all his spirit essence. He finally understood the horror of the five-colored star splitter arrow. It wasn't that he could easily shoot the five-colored star splitter arrow just because his cultivation had improved. At this moment, he had already reached the Dao sculpting realm. Although he was injured, his strength was still far from being in the eternal realm. Even so, he still didn't have enough spirit essence and spiritual consciousness to shoot the five-colored star splitter arrow. To shoot this arrow, he also needed to burn his essence blood and lifespan. Although his strength had improved, the target he wanted to lock onto with the five-colored star splitter arrow was no longer a half-step Dao sculpting cultivator. Seeing that his spirit essence was about to dry up, Ning Cheng couldn't shoot the five-colored star splitter arrow. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath. He really didn't want to burn his essence blood. He still had to go to Heaven Essence Sacred City to participate in the pill discussion conference. If he burned his essence blood and lifespan like this, he wouldn't be able to recover without more than a month. Looking at Bei Qianhai, who was begging for mercy, Ning Cheng's spiritual sense moved, and a medicinal pill suddenly fell into his mouth. Exploding spirit pill. Ning Cheng had fallen into a coma for 3 years because of this exploding spirit pill. At this moment, Ning Cheng swallowed the exploding spirit pill without any scruples. Exploding spirit pills were meant for cultivators with cultivation above Dao sculpting realm. A few years ago, when he swallowed the exploding spirit pill, he was only in the eternal realm. Naturally, he couldn't resist the terrifying medicinal properties of the exploding spirit pill. At this moment, he had already stepped into the Dao sculpting realm. Moreover, he had swallowed the explosive spirit pill. Moreover, the five-colored star splitter arrow was also crazily absorbing spirit essence. No matter how much spirit essence he erupted, it wouldn't be enough for the five-colored star splitter arrow. Sure enough, the terrifying power that erupted from the explosive spirit pill was instantly absorbed by the five-colored star splitter arrow. The murderous aura in the surroundings became even more intense, and even the space around them began to emit cracking sounds. If you kill me, the desolate spirit palace will not let you off. Seeing Ning Cheng ignoring his pleas for mercy, Bei Qianhai immediately turned into a threat. Ning Cheng was the least afraid of threats. He had been threatened too many times in the past, yet he was still alive and well, while the people who threatened him had already turned into ashes. Chi! The arrow left the bowstring, and a black mark was left in the surrounding space. The terrifying killing intent completely enveloped Bei Qianhai. Bei Qianhai's eyes showed a trace of despair as he watched the five-colored star splitter arrow pass through his glabella. A bloody mist burst out, and Ning Cheng reached out and grabbed a ring. The next moment, Bei Qianhai's entire body turned into a bloody mist. The five-colored star splitter arrow was just too powerful. Ning Cheng slowly exhaled, and the anger and flames in his chest slowly subsided. An exploding spirit pill had saved him from burning his essence blood and lifespan. Since he destroyed the Bei clan, he wouldn't let go of the Bei clan's spiritual medicine garden. It was already the 5th day since Ningqing left for the Bei clan. Although Ningqing hadn't returned yet, a piece of news had already spread throughout the Heaven Essence Sacred City. That was, a Dao sculpting holy emperor named Ningqing destroyed the Bei clan. This Dao sculpting holy emperor named Ningcheng was extremely ruthless. Not only did he destroy the Bei clan, but he also turned it into ruins. Although the Bei clan wasn't a big clan, it had a small reputation in the Grand Essence domain. Because it was an alchemy family, the family not only had a Dao transformation pill deity but also a Dao transformation holy emperor. For a time, many cultivators in the Heaven Essence Sacred City started talking about Ningcheng. The only news was that Ningcheng had a very beautiful female cultivator as a furnace and was friends with the Dao transformation pill deity, Jian Sanshan. In a cave with rich spirit qi in Heaven Essence Sacred City, Jian Sanshan sat with 2 eternal-level cultivators drinking spirit tea. If it was before, Jian Sanshan would at least be a Dao transformation holy emperor or a second-step Dao confirming holy emperor. Drinking tea with an eternal cultivator. What a joke. At this moment, Jian Sanshan wasn't joking at all. In fact, he felt extremely shocked. He knew that Ningcheng was powerful. If Ningcheng wasn't powerful, he wouldn't have been able to kill a Dao Nourishment Holy Emperor and scare away a Dao Nourishment Holy Emperor. But even he didn't expect Ningcheng to be this powerful. He thought that Ningcheng would stay behind to discuss the Bei clan before leaving. He didn't expect Ningcheng to directly destroy a big clan. Thinking of this, Jian Sanshan couldn't help but secretly rejoice. He didn't do anything wrong. A holy emperor who could escape from Man Huishan's hands was indeed not ordinary. In fact, if Ningcheng was ordinary, he wouldn't have dared to show up in the Heaven Essence Sacred City with him. When he guessed Ningcheng's identity, he didn't use tough means to oppress Ningcheng but chose to cooperate with Ningcheng. If he had used tough means, perhaps there wouldn't be a Jian Sanshan in this world now. Ningcheng was definitely the most terrifying Dao molding holy emperor that Jian Sanshan had ever seen. Although Xian Xiao and Wu Qihong sat together and drank tea with Jian Sanshan, they didn't feel relaxed at all. Instead, they felt nervous. As rogue cultivators, the two had naturally heard of Jian Sanshan's name. This was a powerhouse whose status was worlds apart from theirs. Many Dao transformation holy emperors wanted to ask Jian Sanshan to refine a medicinal pill, but they couldn't. Jian Sanshan saved them. Not only did he use the most precious medicinal pills to regenerate their limbs, but he also didn't affect their cultivation. Jian Sanshan was a famous powerhouse who healed them and even treated them with such politeness. This made Xian Xiao feel very nervous. The only thing she knew was that Jian Sanshan was Ningcheng's friend. And Ningcheng was the one who pretended to be her eldest senior apprentice brother Ji He. He was also the one who gave her the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill. After hesitating for half an incense stick worth of time, Scholar Xian asked with some worry and humility, "Senior Jian, will my senior apprentice brother be fine?" Jian Sanshan immediately sobered up from his daze. He quickly said, "It's fine, I forgot to tell you. Your senior apprentice brother just destroyed the Bei clan, but he himself is safe and sound. He didn't come over these days, so he should have something else to do." In recent days, there had been a lot of people asking Jian Trishan about Ningcheng's origins, but Jian Trishan had only mentioned that he was his friend Ningcheng, and did not say anything else. As for why Ningcheng hadn't returned to Heaven Essence Sacred City, Jian Sanshan could guess a thing or two. Ningcheng should be injured and looking for a place to heal. Jian Sanshan had just answered Xian Xiao's question when his communication pearl lit up. Jian Sanshan laughed, stood up and said, "Your senior apprentice brother is here." Ningcheng had indeed come. Just as Jian Sanshan expected, he had gone to find a place to heal his injuries. Moreover, he still had Yan Ji with him, who had yet to wake up. As such, it was impossible for him to come to Heaven Essence Sacred City with such injuries. Jian Sanshan opened the restrictions, but Ningcheng hadn't come in yet. Instead, his voice came in, "Brother Jian, you really have a good place. Many thanks, Big Brother Ning, for saving our lives. Before Jian Sanshan could speak, Xian Xiao and Wu Qihong had already come forward and thanked him with a bow. Ning Cheng had truly saved their lives. Without Ning Cheng, the two of them would have died. Wu Qihong had also heard from Xian Xiao that Ning Cheng wasn't the real eldest senior apprentice brother Ji He. This made him feel even more grateful to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng wasn't his eldest senior apprentice brother and had saved their lives several times. Ning Cheng spoke up in shame, "This matter was caused by me. If it weren't for me, I'm afraid the Bei clan wouldn't have targeted you." Xian Xiao quickly shook her head, "No, it's that Deacon Huang from the Star Stepping Tower. He knew that we knew you." Even without Xian Xiao's explanation, Ning Cheng fully understood what was going on. He and Xian Xiao knew each other. After he left the Heaven Essence Sacred City, others wanted the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill. Since they couldn't find him, they naturally found Xian Xiao and Wu Qihong. Ning Cheng gave a cold snort. This Star Stepping Tower truly didn't have any good people. The Star Stepping Tower's master surnamed Nye took the initiative to take out the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill and let everyone know about its existence. This kind of behavior in itself showed that he didn't care about Ning Cheng's life. However, it didn't harm him, but Xian Xiao and Wu Qihong. You can rest assured that I will kill that Huang sooner or later. Ning Cheng held back his dissatisfaction with this woman surnamed Nye. Although he couldn't kill the Star Stepping Tower's master, it wouldn't be a problem to kill a deacon from the Star Stepping Tower. Wu Qihong wasn't good with words, so Xian Xiao quickly spoke up, "It's already a great blessing for us to survive. The Star Stepping Tower is extremely powerful. Big Brother Ning can't take risks." Ning Cheng smiled, "You can rest assured. I naturally won't go to the Star Stepping Tower. I don't have that strength. As for you two, what are your plans for the future?" Xian Xiao and Wu Qihong remained silent when they heard Ning Cheng's question. The two of them didn't even have a storage ring on them. One could even say that they were worthless. When Ning Cheng saw the two of them not speaking, he understood their situation. He took out 2 storage rings and handed them to the two of them before saying, "There are some things you need urgently. These things also belong to the Bei clan. Consider it as compensation for you." Xian Xiao took the ring and suddenly knelt to the ground, "Big Brother Ning, Junior Apprentice Brother and I have nowhere to go. If Big Brother Ning needs us to run errands, we are willing to follow Big Brother Ning." Wu Qihong, on seeing Xian Xiao kneel, also quickly knelt down. He understood his senior apprentice sister's thoughts. Ning Cheng and Jian Sanshan, a legendary Dao transformation pill deity who could destroy the Bei clan by himself, definitely had a bright future ahead of them. If they could follow Ning Cheng, they wouldn't lose out to the disciples of the big sections. Ning Cheng quickly called up the two of them and said, "Anyway, I used Ji He's identity. In that case, you two can really be my junior apprentice brother and junior apprentice sister. I don't have anything to teach you. I've already put some cultivation methods and spirit techniques in your storage rings. As for the medicinal pills for cultivation, they don't put much pressure on me." Xian Xiao and Wu Qihong greet senior apprentice brother. Seeing that Ning Cheng had really accepted them, Xian Xiao and Wu Qihong felt overjoyed. Although they wanted to know what spirit techniques were in the storage rings, they felt even more satisfied with following Ning Cheng. Chapter 955. Congratulations to elder brother Ning for gaining a new junior apprentice brother and a junior apprentice sister. Jian Thrishan quickly congratulated Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng cupped his fists towards Jian Sanshan and thanked him, "Many thanks to brother Jian for your help. If not for brother Jian, I'm afraid that things would not have gone so smoothly." Ning Cheng wasn't lying. Without the help of Trisword Mountain, it would be very difficult for him to get rid of the Bei family. Jian Sanshan gave a hearty laugh, "Brother Ning, don't treat me like an outsider. I was waiting for you to come back, and for another matter. But this matter is not urgent. Let's sit down and talk." Seeing that Ning Cheng and Jian Sanshan had something to discuss, Xian Xiao quickly spoke up, "Big brother Ning, this senior apprentice sister is injured, let me take care of her." Ning Qing thought that he would have to go and trade with the Grand God Pill sect in a few days, so it wouldn't be good to carry Yan Ji there. Not only did it give others an excuse to increase the price, but it was also inconvenient. Thinking till here, Ning Qing took Yan Ji down and said, "Thank you junior apprentice sister Xian Xiu, this is your senior apprentice sister Yan Ji. She was killed by an enemy, and is now seriously injured. Big brother Ning, rest assured, I will definitely take good care of senior apprentice sister Yan." Xian Xiu quickly and carefully hugged Yan Ji and spoke in a serious tone. At the same time, she was secretly praising Ning Cheng's attentiveness in her heart. Senior apprentice sister Yan Ji's body did not even have a trace of dust on it. It was obvious that elder brother Ning often used the dust removal method and the clean water method to clean Yan Ji. After Xian Xiu left with Yan Ji and Wu Qihong, Jian Sanshan poured a cup of spiritual tea for Ning Cheng and said, "The day after tomorrow, Heaven Essence Sacred City's city master Lu Jiesheng will invite powerhouses from all over the Heaven Essence Sacred City to participate in the alchemy discussion to hold a family banquet in the city master's mansion. I wonder if brother Ning is interested." Ning Cheng shook his head, and spoke in a straightforward manner, "Not interested." Jian Sanshan and Ning Cheng had known each other for quite some time and understood Ning Cheng's temperament. Therefore, he had no choice but to explain, "Yu Jiesheng is a Dao essence expert and the Yu clan's family head. Every time before the pill discussion assembly, he would invite a few experts and pill gods to participate in the family banquet. Moreover, he was extremely generous, even giving out precious gifts like Dao fruits. Some pill gods only asked him for help, and he would try his best to help. Even if he couldn't do it, he would try his best to help. Although the pill god is someone that everyone wants to curry favor with, to the pill god, being able to get to know more experts can be considered as having more connections." Jian Sanshan's words were very clear. It was unknown how many people wanted to attend Lu Jiesheng's banquet, but they couldn't. Even if it was a pill god, who knew when he would need someone else's help? Getting to know more powerhouses meant that one would have one more option when asking for help. When Ning Cheng heard this, his heart was moved. He had no interest in attending Lu Jiesheng's banquet, but Yan Ji's condition required it. Those who could attend Lu Jiesheng's banquet were mostly powerhouses of a region, or some alchemy gods. One person's knowledge was short, but many people's knowledge was long. Maybe someone would know about Yan Ji's situation. "Brother Jian, I've decided to go to City Master Li's banquet with you." Ning Cheng made up his mind and immediately spoke up. Jian Sanshan smiled. "It's very simple to attend City Lord Li's banquet. We just need to go to the Elixir Association to get a Dao Sculpting Alchemy Deity Identity card." After saying that, Jian Sanshan looked at Ning Cheng. He guessed that Ning Cheng was a Dao Sculpting Alchemy deity, but he had never seen Ning Cheng perform alchemy before, so he wasn't too sure about it. Ning Cheng immediately stood up, "Brother Jian is right. Let's go get our own Dao Sculpting Alchemy Deity qualification card." Since he had to attend the Pill Discussion Grand Assembly in Heaven Essence Sacred City and also attend Lu Jiesheng's banquet, it would be useful to get his own Dao Sculpting Alchemy Deity qualification card. Seeing that Ning Cheng was willing to apply for a Dao Sculpting Alchemy Deity qualification card, Jian Sanshan felt overjoyed. It showed that Ning Cheng was definitely a Dao Sculpting Alchemy deity. Heaven Essence Sacred City could become the premier sacred city of the Grand Essence domain. Apart from the Heaven Essence Sacred City itself, another reason was that the Grand Essence Realms Pill Association, Equipment Association, Talisman Association, and Array Dao Alliance were all located here. The Elixir Association was shaped like a huge pill furnace, with a white medicinal pill suspended in the air outside it. This was the symbol of the Elixir Association. An incomparably rich medicinal pill aura spread out. If it weren't for the fact that no one was allowed to gather in the vicinity, maybe some people would have stayed in the vicinity to cultivate. As soon as Jian Sanshan arrived at the entrance of the Elixir Association, the guards immediately recognized him and immediately greeted him respectfully, showing Jian Sanshan's extraordinary identity. Although there weren't many Dao Transformation Alchemy deities in the Elixir Association, there were still some. Jian Sanshan was different from ordinary Dao Transformation Alchemy deities. He could refine fusing heaven pills. Just this point alone was enough for many sects to respect the Three Swords Mountain. Even in the Elixir Association, Jian Sanshan's identity was extraordinary. "Senior, what do you need this junior to do?" Jian Sanshan and Ning Cheng had just walked into the Elixir Association when a pretty female cultivator came over and bowed. Ning Cheng took the initiative to speak up. "I want to be certified as a Dao sculpting alchemy deity. What procedures do I need to go through?" Hearing that Ning Cheng was certified as a Dao sculpting pill deity, the female cultivator felt deep veneration and spoke up in a more respectful tone. "Two seniors, please come with me." Jian Sanshan felt that Ning Cheng wasn't an ordinary Dao sculpting pill deity. Now that he heard Ning Cheng's words, he simply said, "Brother Ning, if you can refine Dao raising spirit pills, you can also directly apply for the Dao raising pill deity status." Ning Cheng smiled, "It's all the same to me. I can do the most things with the least effort." In fact, for Ning Cheng, he had never taken the Elixir Association's certification card seriously. If it weren't for Yan Ji, he wouldn't have even bothered to come to the Elixir Association. He could refine pills, but his alchemy level didn't matter because of the Elixir Association's recognition. For him, as long as he could do it, it didn't matter to him whether he wanted the card or not. As for why he chose the Dao Sculpting Pill Deity qualification card, it was because Ning Cheng knew a little about the rules of the Pill Deity certification. During the Pill Deity certification, all the refined medicinal pills belonged to the Elixir Association. Moreover, the cultivators participating in the certification had to come up with some spirit crystals to buy divine grasses. The divine grasses for Dao sculpting spirit pills were naturally cheaper than those for Dao transformation spirit pills. Therefore, even if Ning Cheng could refine Dao transformation spirit pills, he only chose to be certified as a Dao sculpting pill deity. While talking, the three of them arrived in front of a gate. Seeing the female cultivator standing in front of the gate, Jian Sanshan didn't wait for the female cultivator to speak before taking the initiative to speak. "Brother Ning, this is the Elixir Association Certification Assessment Hall. I won't participate in the assessment and will wait for you outside." The female cultivator spoke up gratefully, "Many thanks, senior." What she feared the most was that Jian Sanshan wouldn't participate in the assessment and wanted to follow them inside. As a small cultivator leading the way, she didn't know whether she should persuade him or not. Ning Cheng smiled, "Then I'll have to trouble Brother Jian to wait. I guess it won't take long, at most 2 hours." The female cultivator leading the way glanced at Ning Cheng secretly and thought to herself that this holy emperor who came to participate in the assessment had a big tone. Generally, the Dao sculpting pill deity assessment took a day. The cultivators who participated in this assessment were very cautious. Not only did they have to meditate for a few hours before refining pills, but they also had to choose the materials carefully. Because once they failed the assessment, they would have to wait 100 years before taking the assessment again. Jian Sanshan quickly spoke up, "Brother Ning doesn't have to worry. 2 hours is a bit of a rush. You can refine pills freely. I'm not in a hurry." A cold snort came over. "What a big tone. You can finish the assessment in 2 hours. Sure enough, you make friends with different people." The one who spoke was a man wearing a red cultivator robe. He was also followed by a female cultivator leading the way. Apparently, he was also here to participate in the assessment. Jian Sanshan's voice transmission reached Ning Cheng's ears in time. "Brother Ning, this person is called Suo Yi, and he's from the Immortal Corpse sect. I have some grudges with the Immortal Corpse sect. This person should have recognized me and deliberately picked a fight with me. Don't bother with this kind of trash." Ning Cheng nodded slightly and turned to the red-robed cultivator. "What does it have to do with you that I'm refining pills for a few hours? Did you eat too much chicken ass? Do you like to learn how to lay eggs?" Jian Sanshan snickered in his heart. This Ning Cheng's words truly were poisonous. He deliberately asked, "Brother Ning, why does eating too much chicken ass make you want to learn how to lay eggs?" Ning Cheng chuckled, "When a chicken lays eggs, it will hum for no reason. Didn't we hear it just now?" The red-robed male cultivator gave a cold snort and seemed to know that he couldn't win against Ning Cheng. He turned around and entered the hall first. If it were outside, he wouldn't mind teaching Ning Qing a lesson. But in the Pill Association, even if he had 100 guts, he wouldn't dare to make a move. Ning Qing smiled at Jian Sanshan and turned around to enter the assessment hall. Originally, Ning Qing thought that there weren't many cultivators taking the Dao Sculpting Pill Deity Stage assessment. But when he entered the hall, he realized that his thoughts were wrong. In the hall, there were more than 20 cultivators taking the Dao Sculpting Pill Deity Stage assessment. Ning Qing looked at the female cultivator leading the way with a dumbfounded expression and asked, with so many people taking the assessment, and each person taking half a day, wouldn't it be more than 10 days later for me? The female cultivator quickly replied, no, it would be senior's turn tomorrow at the latest. But I'm afraid it would be difficult today. Ning Qing frowned slightly. Since it was his turn tomorrow, it wouldn't affect his participation in the City Lord's Mansion's banquet. It's just that he didn't want to wait here for a day. He guessed that the reason why there were so many people taking the assessment today was because they wanted to get the Pill Deity certification and go to the City Lord's Mansion. The red-robed cultivator, who came in before Ning Qing, sneered. Some people even said that the assessment could be completed in 2 hours. Bah! Hearing the red-robed cultivator's sarcastic laughter, the people around him started to ask questions. Soon, many gazes fell on Ning Qing. Although no one stood up to speak, the sarcasm was clear. Ning Qing ignored these people and directly said to the female cultivator next to him, take me to the place for the Dao Nourishment Pill Deity Stage assessment. The Pill Association is too stingy. Alchemy masters have to pay their own spirit crystals just to assess their identity. Ah! The female cultivator thought that she had heard wrong. Who would take the Dao Nourishment Pill Deity Stage assessment if they had to wait for a day? This was the weirdest alchemy master she had ever seen. She quickly reacted and said carefully, Senior, please come with me. Even if she thought that Ning Qing was a weirdo, she didn't dare to express it. After saying that, she seemed to feel that Ning Qing had said that the Pill Association was stingy and felt that she needed to explain herself. Therefore, she added, in fact, the Pill Association doesn't need to pay spirit crystals for the Pill Deity Stage assessment. The prerequisite is that you can pass the assessment. If you pass the assessment, not only will you not have to pay spirit crystals, but the Pill Association will also give up 50% of the medicinal pills. Of course, if you fail the assessment, not only will you have to pay spirit crystals, but you will also have to pay double the amount. Chapter 956. The Chamber of Commerce's female cultivator brought Ning Qing to a blue gate. She stopped and said to Ning Qing respectfully, Senior, this gate is the place for the Dao Birth Alchemy Deity assessment. Ning Qing, however, didn't enter the blue gate. Instead, he looked at the female cultivator with a smile and said, I've changed my mind. Take me to the Dao Transformation Pill Saint assessment. Ah! When Ning Qing changed his mind for the first time, this female cultivator only felt that Ning Qing was a strange person. But now that Ning Qing said that he wanted to take the Dao Transformation Pill Saint assessment, she no longer felt that Ning Qing was a strange person. Instead, she felt that Ning Qing was courting death. After a while, she stuttered and asked, Senior, you said you want to take the Dao Transformation Alchemy Saint test? No wonder she was so surprised. There were many Dao Transformation Pill deities in the Grand Essence realm, but Dao Transformation Pill Saints could be counted on one hand in the Grand Essence realm. There was only one word difference between Dao Transformation Alchemy Deity and Dao Transformation Alchemy Saint, but the difference was like heaven and earth. What was a Pill Saint? Only those who can refine Dao pills can be called Pill Saints. A Dao Modeling Alchemy Saint was far more sought after and valuable than a Dao Transformation Alchemy Deity. What's more, Ning Qing wanted to take the assessment for a Dao Transformation Pill Sage. Dao pills were generally refined from Dao fruits or divine herbs that contained the laws of heaven and earth. Or perhaps it wasn't refined from a Dao fruit, but it contained a similar worldly law as a Dao fruit. Most Dao pills had better effects than Dao fruits. Refining a Dao pill without using a Dao fruit or divine herbs that contained the laws of heaven and earth was 10 times more difficult than refining a Dao pill with a Dao fruit. Those who could refine Tao pills without using Tao fruits were at least primordial Tao alchemy saints, and their cultivation level could not be lower than the second step of Tao validation. How many Tao fruits were there in the world? How precious was it? Who could extravagantly use countless Tao fruits to practice and learn how to refine Tao pills? Because Tao fruits were rare and precious, there were also very few God's spiritual herbs that contained the laws of heaven and earth. This resulted in very few pill sages that could refine Tao pills. Ning Qing didn't choose to take the Tao transformation pill sage assessment casually. Since he could refine Tao transformation spirit pills, it meant that he had the strength to refine Tao transformation pills. The reason why he was talented in alchemy was not because he was smarter than others. It was because he cultivated the mysterious yellow formless, which gave him the innate ability to continuously improve himself. More importantly, his spirit root was in balance. There was no situation where only one spiritual root was the main spiritual root. Instead, all 8 spiritual roots were equally outstanding. This kind of spiritual root balance allowed him to learn alchemy and artifact forging much more easily than others, but it also caused him to need tens of times more cultivation resources than others, even hundreds, or even thousands of times more. There was another more important reason, and that was because his cultivation method was an origin cultivation method. The mysterious yellow bead not only contained the 5 elemental origins, but it also contained the mysterious yellow origin that could split the heavens and earth apart. On the surface, the Tao of alchemy was to extract the essence of various spirit items and combine them together. The next step was to extract the phase origin essence and gather it together. A deeper understanding was to extract the origin essence of the Fei and gather the heaven and earth law contained in the Fei together. Since Ning Qing started cultivating the mysterious yellow formless, almost from the very beginning, he had already started studying the Tao of pills. Up until now, his understanding of alchemy had far surpassed that of ordinary alchemists. Moreover, to him, there was no difference between a Tao fruit and an ordinary divine herb. Since he could use ordinary divine spirit herbs to refine Tao transformation divine pills, he could use Tao fruits to refine Tao transformation Tao pills. This indeed had something to do with the mysterious yellow formless. Formless didn't care about the appearance of grass and trees at all. Plus, he now had a certain understanding of the law-breaking spirit technique. Moreover, the laws contained in the Tao fruit definitely weren't as tyrannical as the laws between heaven and earth. Therefore, he believed that he could control it. Most importantly, once he succeeded in refining it, he would get 50% of the Tao transformation pill. Taking a step back, in case of failure, he could just use the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill as collateral. The Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill didn't look as precious as the Tao transformation pill on the surface. However, he could obtain the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill. What's the matter? Is there a problem? Are there any restrictions to the pill sage assessment? Ning Qing saw the female cultivator not speaking and took the initiative to ask. The female cultivator who led the way reacted and quickly said, "Senior, not everyone can take the Tao transformation pill sage assessment. Before the assessment, you have to use a lot of spirit crystals or treasures equivalent to Tao fruits as collateral. Once you fail, not only will these things be taken away, but you will also face a more severe punishment." Feeling that her tone was a little heavy, the female cultivator quickly explained, "I don't mean to look down on Senior. It's because... Fearing that Ning Qing would get angry, the female cultivator's tone turned even more uneasy. Ning Qing showed a slight smile. "I know. If everyone can try to take the pill sage assessment, wouldn't the pill association have to come up with countless Tao fruits? You can lead the way without worry. You don't have to worry about anything else." When the female cultivator saw that Ning Qing still insisted on taking the pill sage assessment, she had no choice but to agree. "Then Senior, please follow me." In fact, if Ning Qing really passed the assessment, her status as the female cultivator leading the way would soar. However, she knew that Ning Qing didn't think he would pass the assessment. Ning Qing didn't look old and wasn't even a Tao sculpting pill deity. Taking the Tao transformation pill sage assessment. Don't joke around. It was only a few hundred meters from the Tao Nourishment Pill Deity Assessment to the Tao Transformation Pill Sage Assessment. For the female cultivator leading the way, these few hundred meters felt like millions of kilometers to her. With great difficulty, she finally brought Ning Cheng to a pale golden step. Senior, step on this pale golden step and you will reach the Tao Transformation Pill Sage Assessment. Ning Cheng looked all the way and understood the meaning of the pale golden step. In front of the pale golden step, there was a golden step, presumably the place for the Tao Essence Pill Sage Assessment. After the golden step, there were no more steps. In other words, in the Heaven Essence Sacred Cities Pill Gathering, one could only take the Tao Essence Pill Sage Assessment at most. Thank you for your hard work. Ning Cheng nodded. Then this junior will wait for senior here. The female cultivator's forehead oozed some sweat. It wasn't because of the heat but because of nervousness. She had never taken anyone to the Pill Sage Assessment, let alone the Tao Transformation Pill Sage Assessment. Good. Ning Cheng responded, as he stepped onto the pale golden stairs. A powerful spiritual consciousness pressure descended. Only then did Ning Cheng realize that it wasn't easy to enter the place for the Tao Transformation Pill Sage Assessment. No wonder the female cultivator leading the way didn't dare to come up. This kind of spiritual consciousness pressure wasn't something an ordinary holy emperor could resist. Ning Cheng wasn't an ordinary Tao sculpting holy emperor. His most powerful aspect wasn't his spirit essence but his spiritual consciousness. With his spiritual consciousness defenses open, the powerful spiritual consciousness pressure didn't affect Ning Cheng much. Ning Cheng stepped on the pale golden step and arrived in a hall. The pale golden step under his feet disappeared without a trace. It was as if it had suddenly appeared. There was no path or gate. Huh, you just reached Tao sculpting, but your spiritual consciousness is so powerful. A short and fat old man stared at Ning Cheng and muttered to himself in doubt. Ning Cheng stepped forward and cupped his fists. Rogue cultivator Ning Cheng came to take the Tao Transformation Pill Sage Assessment. He could feel that this short and fat old man was at least a Tao Essence powerhouse. The short and fat old man didn't care and said in a calm tone, "As long as you have something as collateral and can afford to pay for it, I won't care even if you come to take the assessment every 100 years. When Ning Cheng heard this, he knew that the other party didn't think he could pass the Tao Transformation Pill Sage Assessment. What the short and fat old man cared about was whether Ning Cheng could take out a treasure to take the assessment. May I ask what senior needs as collateral? Ning Cheng asked again. The short and fat old man stood up, walked to Ning Cheng's side, and walked around Ning Cheng. His height only reached Ning Cheng's chest, which made him look a bit funny. After walking around, the short and fat old man shook his head and said, "Looking at you, I don't think you have anything good. If you want to take the Tao Transformation Pill Sage Assessment, you need a Tao fruit. Even the worst Tao Transformation Tao fruit, I'm afraid you can't afford it. Well, let me see if you can refine a furnace of Tao Transformation Tao pills." Ning Cheng showed a faint smile. "You want to see my ring? Then stop dreaming." He directly took out a jade bottle and put it in the old man's hand. "Can this thing refine dozens of furnaces of Tao Transformation Tao pills?" The short and fat old man's face sank. With such a small jade bottle, no matter how precious it was, it couldn't refine dozens of furnaces. "Young man, you can refine Tao pills at will here as long as you can take out something as collateral. If you can't take out anything as collateral and want to make fun of this sage, then don't blame your fate for not being good." Ning Cheng didn't care about the old man's threat at all and calmly said, "Senior, why don't you take a look first?" In fact, he didn't know how much the Longan-sized pill essence was worth. The old man snorted and opened the jade bottle. Then, his eyes widened in shock. "This is a pill essence." A pill essence was a priceless treasure. It was the essence of the alchemy Tao condensed by a top-grade alchemy master using a top-grade pill furnace for long-term alchemy. Elixir marrow was a priceless treasure. This was the essence of alchemy condensed by a top-notch alchemist using a top-notch pill furnace over a long period of time. This Longan-sized pill essence was much more valuable than a Tao fruit. No wonder this little Tao sculpting cultivator dared to say such a thing. This ball the size of a longan was much more valuable than a Tao fruit. No wonder this puny Tao sculpting cultivator dared to say such a thing. Ning Cheng's expression turned ugly. Senior, I'm here to take the Tao Transformation Pill Sage assessment, not to be questioned. Ning Cheng said with an ugly expression, Senior, I'm here to test for the Tao Transformation Pill Sage, not to accept questioning. Yes, you can participate in the assessment, you can participate. The old man rubbed his hands in excitement. He had actually encountered a pill essence today. Ning Cheng asked calmly, I know I can participate in the assessment. What I'm asking is, if I fail in alchemy, can this pill essence be used as collateral for dozens of furnaces of Tao Transformation Tao pills? Dozens of furnaces? You can participate in the assessment, you can participate. The old man rubbed his hands in excitement. He had actually encountered a pill essence today. Dozens of furnaces? No. The old man quickly waved his hand. The Tao Transformation Pill Sage assessment requires 3 furnaces of pills. I'll give you 3 furnaces as collateral, no more. The success rate of a pill sage must be above 60%. Out of your 3 furnaces of Tao pills, you have to succeed at least 2 furnaces to pass. If you fail, come back in 100 years. Ning Cheng had thought that he could only make 1 or 2 furnaces at most. He didn't expect the old man to say 3 furnaces, which made him overjoyed. He immediately understood that it wasn't that the pill essence was only worth 3 furnaces, but that the pill sage assessment required a success rate of more than 60%. These 3 furnaces were the maximum number of furnaces he could refine. Ning Cheng didn't raise any objections. In that case, 3 furnaces. Senior, please take out the materials. My first furnace is the Purple Heaven Pill. Anyway, as long as he successfully advanced to the Tao Transformation Pill Sage, he would still take the pill essence. It was collateral, not compensation. Ah! This time, the old man was stunned. Although the Purple Heaven Pill was a Tao pill for comprehending Tao Transformation Divine Emperors, the value of its main Tao fruit, the Purple Heaven Tao fruit, wasn't just a little bit. He knew that Ning Cheng couldn't refine it, so he had to take out the Purple Heaven Tao fruit for Ning Cheng to waste. Chapter 957. Senior, do you have any other questions? Ning Cheng asked again when he saw the old man's painful expression. The old man hesitated before saying, Anyway, you're going to take the pill sage assessment, so you can refine ordinary Tao pills. Ning Cheng understood the old man's meaning. The old man wanted him to refine a few cauldrons of Tao pills, and he didn't care whether he succeeded or not. The more ordinary the Tao pills refined, the less the pill association would pay. In the end, the pill marrow would belong to the pill association. I heard that half of the Tao pills refined during the pill sage assessment are my own. Besides, are the materials for the Purple Heaven pill precious? This is the most ordinary cauldron I intend to refine. Ning Cheng smiled. The old man almost choked on Ning Cheng's words and spat out a mouthful of blood. If the Purple Heaven pill was the most ordinary, then wouldn't the materials for the later medicinal pills be heaven-defying? Since Ning Cheng placed the pill marrow on him, the old man couldn't directly say, You want to refine Tao pills at this level? I want you to refine ordinary Tao pills because I want to save some. He hesitated for a long time before taking out a pile of jade boxes and putting them in front of him. Well, since you insist on refining the Purple Heaven pill, it's up to you. Anyway, as long as the Purple Heaven pill couldn't be refined successfully, he would have an excuse not to take out higher-grade Tao pill materials. Ning Cheng raised his hand and waved out a pill furnace with the words First Furnace of Chaos engraved on it. When the old man saw Ning Cheng's pill furnace, he almost laughed out loud. This pill furnace dared to call itself the First Furnace of Chaos. It was simply too shameless. No wonder this puny Tao sculpting fellow dared to come here to participate in the Tao Transformation Pill Sage assessment. He lived in his own world. Seeing that Ning Cheng wanted the alchemy materials, the old man suddenly said, Wait, show me your Tao Transformation Pill Deity qualification card. Ning Cheng looked at the old man in doubt and asked, "Do I need a Dao Transformation Pill Deity qualification card to take the Dao Transformation Pill Sage assessment?" "I have the qualification card, why do I need to take the assessment?" Ning Cheng's words shocked the old man, but he immediately rejoiced in his heart and said, "Without a Dao Transformation Pill Deity qualification card, you can only take the Dao Nourishment Pill Sage assessment. Take out your Dao Nourishment Pill Deity qualification card, hee." Ning Cheng spoke up in embarrassment, "I only have the qualifications of a Tier 8 Pill Emperor." "Didn't you say that you don't need to be a Tier 8 Pill Emperor to participate in the assessment?" This time, the pudgy old man was truly speechless. He stared at Ning Cheng for a long time before giving out a sigh and speaking, "Cheng Ho Tian, have lived to this day and finally experienced what it means to dare to think and dare to do. A Tier 8 Pill Emperor actually told me that he wanted to take the Dao Transformation Pill Saint examination. In terms of boldness and arrogance, if you admit that you're second, no one will dare to admit that they're first." Ning Cheng spoke in a light voice, "Not letting me take the assessment, does that mean that Senior Cheng wants to take away my core essence? You didn't lose your Dan essence?" "Hee, Dan marrow is indeed very precious. Even I need it urgently. I, Cheng Ho Tian, am not so despicable as to destroy your Dan marrow. Even if I, Cheng Ho Tian, wanted to do this, the Pill Association would not allow it. Go and test for the Dao Transformation Alchemy Deity. Come back to me after the test," Cheng Ho Tian said calmly. Ning Cheng's tone suddenly turned cold. "You want me, a Dao Transformation Alchemy Saint, to queue up with those ordinary examinees? If the treatment is the same, why would I need to take the Dao Transformation Alchemy Saint test?" Cheng Ho Tian laughed, "You really are the #1 Dao Sculpting Pill Saint in the world. Fortunately, you're not a Dao Transformation Alchemy Saint yet. If you were a Dao Transformation Alchemy Saint, I'm afraid your nose would be pointing towards the sky. Well, if you don't want to stand in a line, then you can take the test here. But if you want to take the test from me, you'll need to take the test step by step from Dao Sculpting Alchemy Deity. Otherwise, you'll have to stand in a line. As for the Dan marrow, whether you take the test or not, the Pill Association has its rules. As long as you don't pass the Dao Transformation Alchemy Saint test, it won't be returned to you." Ning Cheng wanted Cheng Ho Tian to say this. Now that Cheng Ho Tian said this, Ning Cheng's tone softened. "Senior Cheng, it's not that I can't take the test here. But who do the divine herbs belong to, and who do the medicinal pills belong to?" Cheng Ho Tian spoke up angrily, "The divine herbs belong to this sage, and the medicinal pills belong to you. What about it?" After hearing Cheng Ho Tian's words, Ning Cheng's expression suddenly turned warm. "Many thanks, Senior." Cheng Ho Tian sneered and didn't speak. He raised his hand and waved out 2 sets of herbs. "The first test is to become a Dao Sculpting Alchemy Deity and refine the Explosive Spirit Pill." Ning Cheng looked at the 2 sets of herbs speechlessly. He hesitated for a while before saying, "Can you refine another medicinal pill?" He hadn't used up all the explosive spirit pills on him, and he didn't want to use too many explosive spirit pills. Why would he refine so many explosive spirit pills? Cheng Ho Tian ignored Ning Cheng's words and continued, "There are 3 sets of herbs in total, and the success rate is above 60%. In other words, you have to refine 2 batches before you can become a Dao Sculpting Alchemy Deity." Seeing that Cheng Ho Tian didn't have any intention of compromising, Ning Cheng simply opened a set of explosive spirit pill ingredients and threw them into the pill furnace. Cheng Ho Tian saw Ning Cheng's actions, and his face turned red with anger. Was this also called refining Dao Sculpting Alchemy Deity pills? A moment later, his anger disappeared without a trace. What was there to be angry about? The faster this kid failed, the better. That way, he wouldn't have to take out other herbs at all. Ning Cheng brought out a white flame, and Cheng Ho Tian's expression changed drastically when he saw it. He exclaimed, "This is a nameless flame." The nameless flame wasn't really nameless. It was the 6th-ranked flame in the world. He didn't expect Ning Cheng, a Dao Sculpting Divine Emperor, to take out such a precious flame. Ning Cheng didn't bother with Cheng Ho Tian. The flame rose, and the pill furnace was instantly filled with azure gas. In just a moment, Cheng Hotian's expression changed again. He was a Tao transformation pill saint himself, so he naturally understood that Ning Cheng wasn't messing around. Ning Cheng refined the divine herbs in the pill furnace in a short time. In less than a third of an incense stick's time, the fragrance of the explosive spirit pill completely spread out. After another 10 breaths, Ning Cheng sent 12 pills that exuded a powerful aura into the jade bottle. Cheng Hotian couldn't sit still anymore. He stood up and stared with wide eyes. The 12 explosive spirit pills were all special-grade Tao sculpting divine pills. Even he couldn't do better than this. This meant that Ning Cheng really came to take the Tao transformation pill saint test and wasn't messing around. Cheng Hotian put away the batch of explosive spirit pill materials on the ground and threw out another batch of materials. With your level, you don't need to refine the second batch of explosive spirit pill. You passed the Tao sculpting pill deity test. Now, you're going to take the Tao nourishment pill deity test. His tone was calm, but his heart was already in turmoil. When did the Grand Essence realm have such a heaven-defying alchemy expert? If the other party hadn't come to the Pill Association for the test, he wouldn't have known that there was such a powerful alchemy god in the Grand Essence realm. Ning Cheng secretly cursed Cheng Hotian for being stingy. He didn't care about the explosive spirit pill. The second batch of medicinal pills was the Immortal Copious pill, which belonged to the Tao Nourishment Divine Pill category. It was a healing divine pill and a very valuable divine pill. As Cheng Hotian expected, Ning Cheng only used a third of an incense stick's time to refine a batch of special-grade Immortal Copious pills. Cheng Hotian didn't speak and directly threw out a batch of Greenly Scarlet Fire pills. The Greenly Scarlet Fire pill belonged to the Tao Transformation Divine Pill category. It was a divine pill that assisted fire attribute main spirit roots in cultivating spirit techniques. It was also a very valuable divine pill. Cheng Hotian watched as Ning Cheng skillfully refined, fused, gathered spirit, and formed the pills. There was no pause or delay in between. From this, he could tell that Ning Cheng had refined many Tao transformation divine pills. The more he watched, the more shocked he became. He was the second president of the Pill Association. When it came to alchemy, he was the second strongest person in the Pill Association. Even with his vision, he couldn't see through Ning Cheng's pill art. Whether it was pill enlightenment, pill condensation, or pill condensing technique, he couldn't see through any of them. Not to mention seeing through it, he couldn't even catch a trace of it. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness blocked the pill furnace. Without Ning Cheng's permission, his spiritual consciousness couldn't enter the pill furnace to check. Ding ding ding, the sound of medicinal pills colliding in the jade bottle rang out. Cheng Hotian gave out a long sigh. This wasn't a pill deity who came to take the alchemy assessment, but a monster. The 12 fiery red greenly scarlet fire pills were all special-grade medicinal pills. Where the hell did this kid come from? Even if Ning Cheng took a little longer to refine Tao Transformation Divine Pills, it only took him 2 incense sticks of time to complete the Tao Molding Pill Deity, Tao Birth Pill Deity, and Tao Transformation Pill Deity assessments. For the Tao Transformation Pill Deity assessment, as long as one had more than 30% success rate, one could pass. Even without Ning Cheng refining a second batch, Cheng Hotian knew that Ning Cheng's success rate was 100%. Not only was the success rate 100%, but the quality of the medicinal pills were also special grade. Cheng Hotian sighed, "Tao friend Ning Cheng, I take back my previous thoughts of underestimating you. You are qualified to take the Tao Transformation Pill Saint assessment and also qualified to look down on those pill deities." Cheng Hotian directly admitted that he had underestimated Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng had a good impression of this old man. Some powerhouses generally wouldn't admit their mistakes. "Tao friend Ning Cheng, these are the materials for a batch of falling scar Tao pills. One of them is a Tao fruit, falling scar fruit." Cheng Hotian took out a batch of materials and placed them in front of Ning Cheng. "Although I know you are qualified to take the Tao Transformation Pill Saint assessment, I still want you to take the Tao Molding and Tao Birth Pill Saints assessment." Ning Cheng nodded. He didn't care. In any case, the medicinal pills were his. This time, he wanted to refine Tao molding Tao pills. Therefore, he started to be more careful. He even became cautious when separating the divine grasses. After all, this was his first time refining a Tao pill. No matter how powerful the mysterious yellow formless was, it would take some time to adapt. Ning Cheng had seen falling scar fruit before. A falling scar fruit had appeared at the Grand Essence Ruins exchange meet, but Kong Ning had sold it. To buy this falling scar fruit, Kong Ning had even asked him to borrow some points. The most precious material for falling scar Tao pill was naturally the falling scar fruit. After Ning Cheng put the falling scar fruit into the pill furnace, the pill fires started to rise. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness instantly felt a faint aura of heaven and earth laws. Ning Cheng didn't make a wrong judgment. The heaven and earth laws within the falling scar fruit weren't too tyrannical. In fact, they couldn't be any weaker. However, these laws were very clear and would collapse at the slightest touch. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness hadn't even touched the falling scar fruit when the laws within the falling scar fruit began to collapse. Feeling the laws within the falling scar fruit dissipating, Ning Cheng felt anxious. What was the main sign of refining a Tao pill? It was the laws. Once the laws within the Tao fruit collapsed, it would be equivalent to a failure. Chapter 958. Ning Cheng finally understood why there were so few pill sages and why Tao pills were so difficult to refine. Under such weak laws, as long as one's understanding of the laws was insufficient, they would definitely not be able to refine it. Similarly, no matter how strong one's understanding of the laws was, if there was a slight difference in the fusion of the divine herb's origin medicinal properties and the laws, the refinement would fail. Even if you have a thorough understanding of the laws, have a deep understanding of the medicinal properties of the divine herbs, and can even fuse them with ease. But your spiritual consciousness is not good enough, so you still can't refine a Tao pill. When he said that his divine sense was not good, it did not mean that his divine sense was too weak. Instead, it was the control of one's own spiritual sense. That is, one's spiritual sense must be powerful, and one must be able to control one's spiritual sense to the pinnacle. Only by combining all of these can you possibly refine a Tao pill. The reason why he said it was possible was because every Tao fruit had different laws of heaven and earth, and every Tao pill had different medicinal properties. Maybe you can refine one type of Tao pill, but you can't refine another. Grasping the medicinal essence of the divine spirit grass, controlling the nomological aura within the Tao fruit, and using one's divine senses, Ning Cheng understood what was going on the moment the Tao fruit laws shattered. At this moment, his entire body merged into the furnace of falling scar Tao pills. On the side, Cheng Ho Tian looked at Ning Cheng's focused look and sighed before shaking his head. He had already felt that the falling scar fruit's laws had dissipated, which meant that this batch of medicinal pills had failed. Even if Ning Cheng didn't admit defeat and focused on alchemy, he couldn't refine this batch of falling scar Tao pills. Although he knew that Ning Cheng had failed, he still did not disturb Ning Cheng's concentration. Sure enough, after half an incense stick worth of time, a burnt smell spread out. Ning Cheng's primal chaos first furnace started to emit blue smoke, and the burnt smell of divine grasses started to spread out. Ning Cheng had clearly failed to refine a batch of Tao pills, but he was still immersed in it and had yet to wake up. If this batch of Tao pills was Ning Cheng's first batch of pills, Cheng Ho Tian would have already exploded. After seeing Ning Cheng refine a few batches of medicinal pills, even if this batch of Tao sculpting Tao pills failed, Cheng Ho Tian still didn't act up. Instead, he quietly waited. When Ning Cheng controlled his spiritual consciousness to fuse with the medicinal pills in the pill furnace, his sea of consciousness started to change. In the beginning, he still needed to control the movement of his divine sense. Later on, as long as he expressed his thoughts, his divine sense could completely move according to his thoughts. It was as if his spiritual consciousness had turned into a world of its own to do what he wanted to do. Such a result allowed him to focus more of his energy elsewhere, and at the same time, the result of his divine sense control was also more perfect. After the pill in the pill furnace turned into flying ash, Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness issued a slight catch-it sound. Ning Cheng felt ecstatic in his heart. Although he did not manage to refine this batch of Dao pills, it unexpectedly allowed his sea of consciousness to advance once again. His sea of consciousness became invisible and could no longer be captured by ordinary cultivators. Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness took another step forward, causing Cheng Hotian to feel surprised. He could clearly feel that Ning Cheng's strength had increased once again. This made him even more surprised. He had never seen a holy emperor who advanced to the next realm while practicing alchemy. However, Ning Cheng still did not wake up. His sea of consciousness and his thoughts perfectly played out the process of completing the Dao core in Ning Cheng's imagination. At the end of this deduction process, Ning Cheng's body shook once again, and his entire body turned as if shrouded in smoke. Cheng Hotian couldn't take it anymore and stood up for the second time. When Ning Cheng's cultivation rose by a level, it had already shocked him. He didn't expect that Ning Cheng would advance again. This time, it wasn't in terms of cultivation, but in terms of alchemy. As a Dao transformation pill sage, Cheng Hotian naturally knew that Ning Cheng had an epiphany in the Dao of alchemy. After this epiphany, Ning Cheng's understanding of the Dao of alchemy would definitely take another step forward. The faint mist shrouding Ning Cheng's body was surrounded by a vast Dao of alchemy at this moment, like a morning bell and evening drum. Cheng Hotian's eyes lit up. How deep did one's understanding of the Dao of alchemy have to be to have such a profound and rich Dao of alchemy surrounding it? No matter how deep Ning Cheng's understanding was, Cheng Hotian couldn't care about anything else. He immediately sat down beside Ning Cheng and tried to understand the Dao of alchemy that Ning Cheng had comprehended. An incense stick's worth of time quickly passed, and the Dao of alchemy around Ning Cheng slowly dissipated. The mist of Dao of alchemy also dissipated completely. Ning Cheng opened his eyes, which were filled with joy. Cheng Hotian also opened his eyes in time. The surprise in his eyes was even more exaggerated than Ning Cheng's. He vaguely grasped the shadow of a second-step pill sage. One had to know that even though he had been a Dao transformation pill sage for hundreds of thousands of years, he was still a first-step pill sage. Senior. Ning Cheng cupped his fists towards Cheng Hotian in embarrassment. He had failed a batch of medicinal pills, so he was afraid that Cheng Hotian wouldn't refine a second batch for him. If Cheng Hotian really didn't refine a second batch for him, then he would have failed today's test. Cheng Hotian quickly jumped up and waved his hands. Don't call me senior. Brother Ning Cheng, if you look up to me, Cheng Hotian, then we are brothers. You can call me Brother Cheng from now on. Even if you call me Hotian, I will feel comfortable. I want to thank you. If it weren't for your epiphany in the Dao of alchemy and the spread of the Dao of alchemy, I don't know how many years it would have taken me to grasp that little bit. Cheng Hotian looked excited. At his level, if he wanted to advance again, he couldn't rely on heavenly treasures or external objects. He had to rely on his own understanding of the Dao of alchemy. Moreover, his aptitude in the Dao of alchemy had almost reached its peak. Ning Cheng's epiphany had given him a huge boost, giving him a chance to become a second-step pill sage. While Ning Cheng was comprehending the Dao of alchemy, he knew that Cheng Hotian was also comprehending his epiphany. He didn't care about it. He had the mysterious yellow origin and cultivated the mysterious yellow formless. This kind of epiphany was a regular occurrence. He didn't mind if Cheng Hotian followed him and basked in the limelight. Now that Cheng Hotian appreciated it, Ning Cheng naturally wouldn't act pretentious. He quickly said, "Many thanks, Brother Hotian." Good, good. Cheng Hotian rubbed his hands in excitement. Before Ning Cheng started his epiphany in the Dao of alchemy, he felt sure that Ning Cheng's future achievements would far surpass his own. Originally, he wanted to wait for Ning Cheng to finish the assessment and build a friendship with him. Unexpectedly, before he could even start building a friendship, Ning Cheng once again showed a terrifying aptitude that far surpassed that of a monstrous genius. Making friends with such a person, even if he helped him now, the benefits he would gain in the future would far exceed his current help. Ning Cheng, on seeing that Ching Ho Tian didn't mention anything about continuing the assessment, took the initiative to mention it. Brother Ho Tian, I want to continue the Dao Sculpting Pill Sage assessment. I wonder if I can refine another furnace of falling mark Dao pills. Ching Ho Tian waved his hand. According to the rules, you still have a chance to refine another furnace. Of the 3 furnaces of medicinal pills, you only need to refine 2 furnaces. After saying that, Ching Ho Tian felt that he couldn't show his help to Ning Cheng, so he whispered to Ning Cheng, Brother Ning, you can refine as much as you want. If you fail, I will give you a few more furnaces. If I don't say anything about it, no one will know about it. After saying that, Ching Ho Tian waved his hand and threw out 2 furnaces of falling mark Dao pills materials. Obviously, Ching Ho Tian also knew that refining the same type of Dao pill would have a higher success rate with each refinement. Ning Cheng chuckled. He knew that even if Ching Ho Tian didn't say anything, the Pill Association would know about it. There were a bunch of monitoring array formations around, and they weren't just decorations. The reason why Ching Ho Tian said that was because he didn't want Ning Cheng to feel a psychological burden. However, Ning Cheng didn't think that he would fail again. After gaining enlightenment on the Tao of alchemy and advancing his sea of consciousness, if he failed to refine a Tao pill again, he would be too embarrassed to refine a 3rd furnace. This time, Ning Cheng didn't carefully separate the medicinal pills and then carefully extract the origin essence of the divine grasses. Just like when he refined the spirit pills before, his movements also sped up. Ching Ho Tian saw that Ning Cheng's movements were much faster than before. He even suspected that Ning Cheng's furnace of falling mark Dao pills was the first furnace of Dao pills he refined in his life. However, he quickly dispelled this thought. Ning Cheng's furnace of falling mark Dao pills definitely wasn't the first furnace of Dao pills. Because Ning Cheng's movements once again regained the calmness and smoothness he had when refining the spirit pills. He still couldn't see Ning Cheng's pill techniques clearly, but he could feel a pleasant feeling from Ning Cheng's technique. After half an incense stick worth of time, the dregs were thrown out. After an incense stick worth of time, the pill charm lingered above the pill furnace. Half an hour later, the pill charm began to condense, and one could even feel the endless laws of heaven and earth within the pill furnace. Immediately after, bursts of pill fragrance began to spread out. Just when Ching Ho Tian was still in shock at Ning Cheng's alchemy methods, Ning Cheng's hand moved, leaving behind a series of afterimages. Then, the sound of medicinal pills falling into the jade bottles rang out. Ching Ho Tian felt excited. Ning Cheng's furnace of Dao pills was a success. Although he didn't dare to release his spiritual consciousness for fear of affecting Ning Cheng's alchemy, he could feel that this furnace of Dao pills was of high quality. Brother Ho Tian, please take a look. Ning Cheng smiled and put the jade bottle containing the 12 falling mark Dao pills in Ching Ho Tian's hand. Ching Ho Tian couldn't wait to open the jade bottle. A moment later, he said, sure enough, 12 top-quality Dao pills. I'm afraid that even I would find it difficult to refine them. Ning Cheng also felt very satisfied. After his epiphany on the Tao of alchemy, refining pills had become much easier and more enjoyable than before. While Ching Ho Tian looked at the medicinal pills, Ning Cheng had already started refining the 2nd furnace of falling mark Dao pills. Half an hour later, Ning Cheng easily refined another furnace of top-quality falling mark Dao pills. Ching Ho Tian took out 2 more furnaces of Dao pill materials and placed them in front of Ning Cheng. He sighed, it won't be long before your Tao of alchemy surpasses mine. Maybe now, your Tao of alchemy surpasses mine. This time, he took out the materials for the purple heart condensing pill. The main Dao fruit of the purple heart condensing pill was the heavenly jade Dao fruit. This Dao pill was used when the Dao heart of a holy emperor below the Dao birth realm collapsed. It could be used to condense the Dao heart again. It was a Dao birth Dao pill. The collapse of the Dao heart was not a rare thing for holy emperors. During cultivation, Dao condensation, or when facing an enemy, if the Dao heart was disturbed, it could cause the collapse of the Dao heart. The purple heart condensing pill was the best Dao pill for the collapse of the Dao heart. The only limitation was that it could only be used for holy emperors below the Tao birth realm. Chapter 959. Compared to the falling scar Tao pill, the main Tao fruit in the purple heart condensing pill, the heavenly jade Tao fruit, had more mysterious and complex laws, and the degree of condensation was even more fragile than the falling scar Tao fruit. Although Ning Cheng had an epiphany on the Tao of alchemy, when he refined the first furnace of purple heart condensing pill, he also scattered some of the heavenly jade Tao fruit's laws. In the end, he only refined 5 purple heart condensing pills, and these 5 purple heart condensing pills were only middle-grade and low-grade medicinal pills. Ning Cheng rarely refined low-grade medicinal pills, but this time, because of the collapse of the Tao fruit's laws, he managed to refine low-grade medicinal pills. Cheng Ho Tian was very straightforward. When Ning Cheng refined the second furnace of purple heart condensing pill, he did not hesitate to take out the materials for another furnace of purple heart condensing pill. When he saw Ning Cheng refining the second furnace of purple heart condensing pill extremely smoothly, he started to have doubts in his heart. It seemed that every time Ning Cheng advanced a level, he would always stumble when refining the first furnace of pills. But as long as Ning Cheng refined the first furnace, the subsequent refinements would be extremely smooth. Was this really Ning Cheng's first time refining a Tao pill? And he only needed to learn it once? This time, Cheng Ho Tian did not ask. When Ning Cheng finished refining the third furnace of purple heart condensing pill, he directly took out the materials for 3 furnaces of purple heaven pill. This was the Tao transformation pill that Ning Cheng wanted to refine at the beginning of the assessment. The main Tao fruit of the purple heaven pill was the purple heaven Tao fruit. It was a Tao transformation pill that could help one comprehend the Tao, and its value was unparalleled. For a Tao nourishment holy emperor, obtaining a purple heaven pill was a dream come true. While Ning Cheng refined the purple heaven pill, Cheng Ho Tian stared at Ning Cheng's movements without blinking. He even used his spiritual consciousness to carefully check the outside of Ning Cheng's pill furnace. Sure enough, as he expected, Ning Cheng once again failed in the first furnace of medicinal pills and only refined 3 low-grade purple heaven pills, which was basically no different from a failure. But for the second and third furnace of purple heaven pills, Ning Cheng not only succeeded, but they were at least high-grade or special-grade medicinal pills. Cheng Ho Tian picked up the purple heaven pill refined by Ning Cheng and looked at it for nearly half an incense stick worth of time before speaking with emotion. Brother Ning Cheng, your level of alchemy, even I can't reach it. I still have to thank Brother Ho Tian for your support. If it were someone else, I might not even be able to pass the Tao sculpting pill sage assessment. Ning Cheng thanked him. Cheng Ho Tian also thought about it. If he forced Ning Cheng to refine the second furnace of falling scar Tao pill, it would be useless for Ning Cheng to sue him. Brother Ning, I have a question that I really want to ask you. Have you ever refined a Tao pill before? Why is it that every time you try to refine a higher level Tao pill, your first batch of pills always stumbles? Cheng Ho Tian finally couldn't help but ask the question in his heart. Ning Cheng's face showed embarrassment. I can't get my hands on Tao fruits, so I came here to refine Tao pills. It's my first time here. Ning Cheng realized that he had taken the Tao transformation pill sage assessment today. He had previously thought that refining Tao pills was similar to refining spirit pills. Since he could refine Tao transformation divine pills, he could also refine Tao transformation Tao pills. After he smashed the first furnace of falling scar Tao pill, he knew that his thoughts were absurd. In other words, if his sea of consciousness had not advanced, he would not have comprehended the pill Tao. Even if he were to take the Tao sculpting pill saint test today, it would still be somewhat difficult. Even if he passed the assessment, he would still have failed the Tao nourishment pill test. With his current understanding of the pill Tao, studying the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill wouldn't be as difficult as before. With pill sage Min Kong's experience, Ning Cheng felt sure that it would only take him a few hours to study the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill. Cheng Ho Tian stared at Ning Cheng with his mouth wide open. Ning Cheng's words scared him. He was a Tao transformation pill sage and a primordial Tao realm expert. He had seen many things, but he had never seen an alchemist as heaven-defying as Ning Cheng. Although he had doubts every time Ning Cheng failed to refine the first batch of pills, it was still a doubt. He even found his doubts funny. But now that Ning Cheng admitted it, he couldn't believe it. "Brother Ho Tian, can you help me apply for a Dao Transformation Pill Sage qualification card?" Ning Cheng reminded Cheng Ho Tian when he saw him in shock. Cheng Ho Tian let out a long sigh and said, "The universe is vast, but I can't think of any real geniuses. It's my, Cheng Ho Tian's, luck to know a monstrous genius like you. Brother Ning, I'll help you apply for the Pill Association's identity card." In less than half an incense stick's worth of time, 6 cards were placed in front of Ning Cheng. From light blue to dark blue, there were a total of 3. The other 3 were white, silver, and pale gold. "Brother Ho Tian, why did you give me 6? I just need a Dao Transformation Pill Sage qualification card," Ning Cheng said as he looked at the 6 Pill Association identity cards lined up in a row. Cheng Ho Tian chuckled, "You participated in the assessment 6 times, so these 6 qualification tokens are naturally all yours. The light blue card is for Dao Sculpting Pill Deity, the blue card is for Dao Birth Pill Deity, and the dark blue card is for Dao Transformation Pill Sage. The white card is for Dao Sculpting Pill Sage, the silver card is for Dao Birth Pill Sage, and the pale gold card is for Dao Transformation Pill Sage. As for these medicinal pills, you can keep all the 3 furnaces of spirit pills. This is what I agreed to. As for those Dao pills, you can take half. This is the Pill Association's rule." After hearing Cheng Ho Tian's words, Ning Cheng didn't refuse. He took half of the Dao pills and all the spirit pills. He guessed that if he took the 3 furnaces of spirit pills, Cheng Ho Tian might have to compensate the Pill Association. However, this was agreed in advance. If he didn't take it, given Cheng Ho Tian's character, he might say that he looked down on him. Besides, he could easily take out the materials for the 3 furnaces of spirit pills. Cheng Ho Tian obviously didn't feel any pressure. Seeing Ning Cheng put away the 6 qualification cards and medicinal pills, Cheng Ho Tian felt very satisfied. He handed the pill essence to Ning Cheng and said, "Brother Ning, you passed the assessment. The Pill Association can't accept this." Ning Cheng saw the reluctance in Cheng Ho Tian's eyes. He took the pill essence and smiled. He put it in Cheng Ho Tian's hand and said, "Brother Ho Tian, I'll take this pill essence back. I'll give it to you now." Cheng Ho Tian didn't refuse. He took the pill essence and laughed, "Many thanks, Brother Ning. I just happened to be lacking this thing." He understood why Ning Cheng didn't say anything when he took the 3 furnaces of spirit pills. It turned out that Ning Cheng had been waiting for him to give him the pill essence. This brother was really refreshing. Not only did he have heaven-defying abilities, but he was also very forthright. "Brother Ho Tian, I want to ask you a question." Ning Cheng waited for Cheng Ho Tian to put away the pill essence before speaking. Cheng Ho Tian raised his hand and patted Ning Cheng on the shoulder. "We're already friends. Brother Ning, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. As long as this elder brother can do it, I will definitely help you solve it." Ning Cheng nodded and said, "I have a junior apprentice sister. She didn't pay attention to her cultivation and ended up damaging her foundation. Later, she was cleansed by the 9 revolutions sacred Dao pond and was preparing for the spirit transfer. By chance, she should have been saved by someone and even restored her foundation. However, because of me, her foundation wasn't stable after it was restored. Instead, she got injured again." Ning Cheng told Cheng Ho Tian about Yan Ji's matter. After he finished, Cheng Ho Tian immediately became furious. "Those women from the 9 revolutions sacred Dao pond are too much. Brother Ning, this elder brother will definitely help you get back at them." "Thank you, Brother Ho Tian. I will get back at them myself in the future. What I'm worried about now is my junior apprentice sister's injury. I wonder if Brother Ho Tian has any solution." Cheng Ho Tian was an old monster who had lived for countless years. Regardless of his attainments in the Tao of alchemy, Cheng Ho Tian had much more experience than him. Because of this, Ning Cheng wanted to ask Cheng Ho Tian about it. Cheng Ho Tian nodded. Okay, when you go to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond, remember to call me. Your junior apprentice sister's injury is indeed serious, but it's not like there's no way. When Ning Cheng heard this, he grabbed Cheng Ho Tian's shoulder in joy. Brother Ho Tian, do you really have a way to save my junior apprentice sister? Cheng Ho Tian said with a solemn expression, there's a way to save her, but it won't be easy. First of all, you have to wake up your junior apprentice sister as soon as possible. There are many ways to wake her up, but the best way is to use the 5 elements heavenly fruit. The 5 elements heavenly fruit is very difficult to find nowadays, but the Grand God Pills sect has a 5 elements heavenly fruit tree. Don't worry, I can help you get the 5 elements heavenly fruit from the Grand God Pills sect. Cheng Ho Tian's method was the same as the Sword Tri-Mountains. Ning Cheng quickly said, Brother Ho Tian, I'll go trade with them for the 5 elements heavenly fruit. Just tell me what to do next. Ning Cheng believed that he could use the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pills pill recipe to exchange for the 5 elements heavenly fruit. Since he could exchange for it, why bother Cheng Ho Tian? Cheng Ho Tian didn't have such a Tao fruit. If he wanted to get it, he would have to come up with something to trade. Okay, those guys are very stingy. If you can't get it, just let me know. Cheng Ho Tian didn't object and continued, after your junior apprentice sister wakes up, give her the True Extreme Spirit Restoration Pill. True Extreme Spirit Restoration Pill. Ning Cheng repeated the words. He had never heard of such a pill. Cheng Ho Tian said with a solemn voice, yes, it's the True Extreme Spirit Restoration Pill. This pill is very special. Although it's only a Tao sculpting grade Tao pill, its value far exceeds that of ordinary Tao transformation Tao pills. It's because the 3 main ingredients of this Tao pill are too heaven-defying. These 3 main ingredients are the true extreme Tao fruit, the beautiful star hidden gold leaf, and a drop of pill essence. Apart from the pill essence, Ning Cheng had never heard of the other 2 spiritual objects. Cheng Ho Tian took out the pill essence that Ning Cheng gave him and said, I'll return this pill essence to you. Saving your junior apprentice sister is more important. As for the other 2 main spiritual objects, I can find a way to get the true extreme Tao fruit. But that beautiful star hidden gold leaf is really hard to find. The beautiful star hidden gold leaf is a divine grass that contains the laws of heaven and earth. Its value is equivalent to a Tao fruit. Ning Cheng pushed the pill essence back to Cheng Ho Tian. Brother Ho Tian, I still have the pill essence. Can you tell me where to get the true extreme Tao fruit? Also, where is the main source of the beautiful star hidden gold leaf? You should know Heaven Essence Sacred City's City Master Lu Jiesheng. Every time the Alchemy Discussion Conference is held, he holds a City Masters Banquet. He invites all the sect masters and powerhouses, as well as the alchemy experts participating in the Alchemy Discussion Conference, to attend. The reason why he can invite these powerhouses, as well as many alchemy experts, is because he has a source of Tao fruits. And the true extreme Tao fruit is one of the Tao fruits he can take out. Cheng Ho Tian replied. Ning Cheng quickly asked, then how can I get the true extreme Tao fruit from him?